Hi everybody, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. How are you guys? You got a little sneak peek there of our production trailer, running the show currently. And guess what, guys? We are only about, hopefully, within about 2 hours. Well, an hour and 38 minutes away from Starship Flight 8. As you can tell, I'm in the state of Texas, but unfortunately, it's my birthday was just the other day, and so I had some plans that are tonight still in Austin. So if this thing scrubs, maybe I'll be able to make it down. But I'm excited that our whole team is down there covering this. We have the entire production. Show the production trailer again. We have our whole team inside the production trailer. Well, most of our team inside the production trailer. Hi, everybody. We've got the two trackers up at the nose of the vehicle. And then, so those are who do all the remote tracking. And we got Andrew running the switcher. We got Spencer here doing replays and graphics. And then behind this camera, we got Andrew Keating. And he's doing the audio. You can see his hand. And then we've got Ryan Shalinsky out in the field running kind of our main tracker that you see a lot of times, the big monster telescope. So we got the full team running, and we're really excited. So I mean, let's get a view of the rocket, because that's the star of the show. We've got some fun stuff to talk about, because not only did we have we had some fun things happen on our end, because we temporarily lost power because the giant blimp, well, it's not technically, it's an aerostat, but it looks like a blimp that's on South Padre Island, broke free just like 30 minutes ago, and it hit a power line that knocked out our power in Port Isabel. And it was a big enough power outage that it drained all of our, our backup batteries and everything. We're pulling like something, I don't remember, like 6,000 watts or something to run the show. So we go through like UPSs like crazy. And we do need some kind of like bigger. We have a generator that's ready to be fired up now. We kind of just set up for like, well, what if something like this happens again? Crazy. Just like, oh man, what a day. What a crazy day. But the only other thing that kind of stinks about today so far is the weather is not looking amazing as far as views go. Now, that doesn't really necessarily matter in the world of rocket launches. What matters is the vehicle, and that the weather cooperates as far as those things. So actual visibility from the ground is only a minor thing realistically in the grand scheme of things. They'll fly even if it's obscured visually. We saw that happen with like SN11. There's so many cameras on board now. There's so much data and telemetry. You can just see that it's overcast. I have a feeling we'll lose the vehicle only about 15 or 20 seconds into flight. So, but the cool thing is how cool it'll be if this one's, look at, this is from the ground down here, down at the pad. Look at how foggy it is. Obviously a lot of this is the condensation from the tank farm spooling up and providing a lot of that ground condensation that you see, all that kind of fog. And so how cool it'd be though if this thing does land back in, like through the clouds, punching through the clouds. It'll be really hard to actually be able to kind of track it and know what's, where it's going to be at. But hopefully with, if it's wide enough, we'll be able to get it punching through the clouds and coming and landing. That will be very, very, very epic. So one of our, robotic tracking cameras here, really, really fun. So, I mean, and the important thing, the real thing that's important today, actually, this is a good time to kind of give you a little heads up on what we expect to see happen. And we got a little miniature pre-launch preview for you guys here. So this obviously is taking off today from Starbase, Texas. The launch location, this is orbital pad A. Now, what's fun is you can see orbital pad B on the right there. And you can see how close it's finally got its, its chopstick arms. You can see that they're getting much closer to that being operational. I still think it'll be, at least summer before pad B is operational, the much upgraded pad B. But today's launch is still taking off from orbital pad A. So the turnaround time for this was only 46 days, which is pretty impressive, especially considering that we had such a major failure of the Starship upper stage. Keep that in mind. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. This booster, this is B15, and it's hoping to be the third launch attempt, catch attempt, sorry. Actually, technically it's the third, hopefully will be the third. It technically is the fourth catch attempt because, flight 6, or opportunity, there we go. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, we'll consider that is the fourth catch opportunity. Flight 6, the second catch opportunity, did not have a catch attempt. They diverted to the ocean. So kind of trying to, clear up some confusion. But, if this lands today, it will be the third booster landing. So keep that in mind. Ship now. This is S-34. It's hoping to soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean, much like we've seen with Flight 4, Flight 5, 6, but not 7. And it's got a lot of cool things. They're missing a lot of tiles. They have a lot of different tiles intentionally missing. Makes it almost look like a checkerboard in some spots. That is intentional to test out different heat shield methods, different heat shield options. And again, this vehicle is just a giant flying test bed. It's just a giant, orbital-ish platform. And they're also hoping to deploy 4 Starlink payload dummies. So they're going to be opening up the PEZ door, and hopefully we'll see 4 Starlink dummy satellites be ejected from it. Of course, since it's not fully orbital, it's just shy of orbit. That means these will also return on the same trajectory as the rest of Starship. So it'll be on a suborbital, meaning they will blow up. Now, remember, V2, we don't need to call it V2. We can call it version 2 of Starship here. This is the upgraded Starship upper stage. The first one did not go well at all. And so they apparently found the fix to it almost immediately, which makes you kind of feel like, they talked about it, basically having a fuel leak and a few things that they talked about in their, they did an article update. But let's see, maybe I can try to read the exact, let's see. So during the flight test, Starship, I'm going to just read you what they said because it's interesting and we can kind of break it down a little bit here. The flight test includes several experiments focused on enabling Starship upper stage to return to the launch site. Wait, where was that? We test materials. Where was that thing? Extensive upgrades to Starship debuted in the previous flight focused on adding. I just had this figured out here. 25% increase in propellant volume. Yeah. Where is that thing they said? In the loss of Starship 7 flight, several hardware operational changes have been made to increase reliability of the upper stage. You can read the full summary of the mishap investigation here. Oh, there it is. It was a totally different article. Oh, that's so much longer than I remember. But basically, what it sounds like is they have the opportunity to basically like revert a design for now until they really figure it out between the propellant feed lines. And hopefully that just means like, yep, they're happy with it. And they're just ready to go. So that's what we're hoping to see here today. So the big star of the show is actually going to be watching Starship upper stage go through reentry and do the deployment test. That's a really, really big milestone today. So hopefully seeing that, we can see this timeline here as well. You'll actually be able to get a sense of kind of when we see those things. So obviously the upper stage cuts off at, let me pull mine up because I can hardly read that on the monitor on this one. But after it cuts off, the payload deploy will be at 17 minutes already. So it's pretty quickly after, or is that, at 17 minutes after liftoff, that's when they'll be doing the payload deployment demo. So almost 8 minutes into flight is when engine cutoff is 8 minutes and 44 seconds is Starship engine cutoff. That will be putting it into its suborbital trajectory that will make it re-enter, in the Indian Ocean. And then 1724 is the payload deploy demo. And so that's what we're really looking forward to today. Obviously, there's another Raptor in space relight demo. That'll be another great milestone again. And then you'll start seeing the plasma reentry at 47 minutes. And hopefully landing at about T plus 66 minutes. So depending on when that is exactly, we'll have to see. Sorry, I'm congested. I'm sick still a little bit. I was working ridiculous hours to get that Apollo video out. I almost said stupid Apollo video. I'm not going to call it stupid. I'm extremely proud of that video. And as you guys know, I've been talking about it for 10 months. Thank you so much for all of you who have watched. We've had just amazing feedback. I love seeing a couple people in the comments like, I worked on the Apollo program. This is amazing. Seeing a lot of comments like that. So that really does mean the world. It was very, very, very good. Good feeling to finally get that monster video published. I've been working on it for way too long. So let's see here. And speaking of, we got some people already, like Dave McKeegan. Good to hear from you, Dave. Thank you so much. Great work with the Apollo video. It was worth the wait. I thank you very much. That means a lot coming from Dave. Let's see here. We've got some Dave Graham just became a member. It looks like actually it might have been a 1-month membership. That might have been a month ago. Dennis Privat says, how many cams do you have prepared for today? So we kind of got our normal array of cameras. Do we want to do a camera tour, Andrew? Is that something we can do. Might as well do a camera tour. Here we go. So this is our Rio tracker, or is this Rio wide? This might just be Rio wide. Or I mean, not Rio. This is a pad wide. Yep. So here's pad wide. This is a fixed camera. Next we have this is North Beach wide. So this is looking from the north, about 1.5 miles or 2.5 kilometers away, which is also a fixed shot. Here is a tracker from Mr. T. This is that robo tracker. You guys saw that footage, hopefully, of reentry from Flight 7 that just looked absolutely incredible. That's coming from this remote operated camera, which just looks absolutely incredible. So there's that one. Here's the North Beach tracker, again, human operated, manually controlled, smooth. I love seeing that buttery smooth motion. Yeah, I just get a kick out of that. Let's see. We also have our Rio tracker and Rio wide, which are not up yet. We don't spool those up until closer to launch, just to conserve battery. What else do we have? We have an IR camera up, which we have had in the past. I don't know if my feed froze, so I can't see this anymore, but hopefully it didn't freeze on stream. But yeah, an IR camera. Let me just reload this. Well, that might bork some stuff. Yeah, so there you go. That's how many cameras we've got set up. Let's see, this is from Esh Daddy. Good to hear from you, Esh Daddy, towards a new UPS and maybe some 50-pound rabbits. Good old 50-pound rabbits from Esh Daddy. Thank you so much for saying hi. But yeah, the reality is, even with us with UPS, is we have a fair amount, but honestly, like I said, I think to provide enough battery backup for a decent amount of time, the best solution, honestly, would actually be like literally buying a used F-150 Lightning, because you can get like 130 kilowatt hours, like 10 power walls worth of battery pack for like, 40 or 50 grand. Plus you basically get a free truck. So you get like half the price on the batteries compared to like power walls and stuff like that. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I think that's literally what I would do if we're looking to totally do a full battery backup of the entire studio and our trailer, which we might do. But I don't remember. I think Ben Steinman's about to correct me, because I don't know if it has a 220, a 30 amp 220 plug on it. I feel like it does, and so does Cybertruck. Those are really. It has a 50 amp plug on it. Yeah, baby. Now we're talking. Just curious, before I keep reading some stuff here and answering your questions, out of curiosity, how many of you have already watched the entire 2-hour and 20-minute long Apollo video? Say, yes, I have. Now, I'm very curious. I bet it's going to be, I bet a lot of you guys you're kind of the diehards here. So I feel like a lot of you will have already watched the entire thing, which would be crazy. So I was actually really nervous about this video, because I didn't expect it to perform well. I definitely didn't make this video to perform well, because, I just thought, like, it's been covered before. It's a long video. It's probably not going to be a high performer, and that's fine. It wasn't about that. It was about really having that resource out there for people. But look at all these. Oh, there we go. We got the little video teaser pulled up here. Oh man, 2 hours and 20 minutes. You guys are committed. Look at that. Holy crap. Well, thank you to all of you who have watched. I know a lot of people have said that they've watched it and they've shared it. That is awesome. You guys are amazing. Watch it multiple times, someone says. Dang, you guys are crazy. That is hardcore. Thank you so much for watching it, and the support has been very, very encouraging. Like I said, it was a big time commitment. It was very scary for me to do, because it took so much time. I wasn't hardly able. I did produce. I'm happy. I actually did produce a decent amount of videos in the meantime. We had a few shorter ones and some interviews and a few things coming out almost once a month still, even while I was producing that. And so I'm proud to, like, the channel didn't go dead, but I definitely wasn't able to commit to making the videos that the kind that I really love to make, because that took 10 full months. So, and no spoilers on Apollo, please. Spoiler alert, there may have been missions going to the moon. Blake wants to know, Blake Cavaney says, when do you think they'll try and land the Starship and catch the booster? So you're asking, when will they do both? So I think that if this goes well, Flight 9 might be the first catch attempt of Starship. This would have to go very well. It had to be a perfect flight. I still could picture maybe being two tries, because don't forget, this will overfly Texas and or Mexico, and or a good portion of populated areas. And so if it's not flying perfectly, they don't have perfect control of it. If there's any chance that that it would blow up and produce shrapnel all over a populated area, that'd be very, very bad. So they'll have to prove it out and just really, get all thumbs up on it before they, potentially risk overflying people. So, yeah, this is we have a membership from Von Ziegel. Thank you so much. And Mark Ellis membership too. And Grant Dixon. Thank you so much. This is from Boom, just a regular comment. Thank you so much. Saying great video about Apollo missions. Well, I greatly appreciate that. And Grant Dixon also sent a very generous tip as well. And same with Corey has a question. Do you think, since this is an evening launch, we'll be able to see Starship from South Florida? We're getting closer to South Florida. If it's dusk where you are, you might be able to catch it a little bit. You might be able to, if you know exactly where to look, you might be able to see it in the right conditions. Actually, your best bet on being able to see it would actually be if it's already dark and it's still firing its engine, so it'd be backlit illuminated for you, because it'd be, if you're on the Gulf Coast of Florida, let's say Southern Florida, Gulf Coast, you're looking west, southwest, the engines and the plume of the exhaust would be backlit from there. So if it's still burning, you would barely see it on the horizon maybe, and you might also see like a glinting off the sun, reflection off the sun of the stainless steel. You might. If you know where you're looking, you might be able to see it from South Florida today. We will see. Marshall in our Discord says, Lightning thumbs down, Cybertruck thumbs up. Well, I don't think we can afford a Cybertruck as a battery backup. I think you can get a Lightning for at least half the price right now, and same battery capacity. And I don't remember if Cybertruck has a 30 amp or 50 amp 220, but Lightning does. Lightning would be definitely the affordable choice. We wouldn't really be driving it. It'd literally be like a battery on wheels. So this is from Eagle Picking. Will there be a satellite deployment test? Yes, that's the plan. That's the hope. That's the assumption, is that there will be a satellite deployment test. Just like there was supposed to be last time, but unfortunately, as we know, the Starship Upper Stage experienced an anomaly. So, and it blew up over the Caribbean, basically. So hopefully this time, if that doesn't happen, then about 10 minutes after main engine shut off, that is when they would be going for that payload test. So it'll be very quick. Once engine, so the booster would land. By the way, if we look at the launch timeline here again, the booster would be landing around 7 minutes. And then only 2 minutes later should be Starship engine cutoff. So it's going to be a quick run of events. And then just 10 minutes later after that would hopefully be that payload demonstration. So we're really, really, really hoping, this will be a action-packed first little bit here after launch. So don't go anywhere. It will be very, very exciting. Let's see here. This is from LTV. In terms of mission capability, would you say New Glenn is a true competitor for Starship, or would it take missions from Falcon Heavy and Vulcan? So in some cases, New Glenn has some chances to outperform Starship on a single launch, until they get refueling really nailed down on Starship. It's quite limited in launches to geostationary orbit or, say to, translunar injections. That's where New Glenn would actually outperform Starship. However, if Starship really does get the orbital refueling figured out and they're truly launching it and refueling a Starship, they can do, I hate to say you can do anything, but you can do just about anything at that point. So New Glenn, though, it's so crazy. New Glenn is like a crazy competitive. It really is the best competitor to what SpaceX is doing right now. And they really did leapfrog Falcon 9. And even in some cases, it leapfrogged. It also leapfrogged Falcon Heavy as well. Frogged. So it's hard to tell, really what it's hard to tell how it's going to really compete with Starship until Starship's truly operational, right? And then we can kind of compare apples to apples at that point. But it's still definitely, it's so funny that people are like, well, it's like, how could anyone have, if you've been working on a rocket like this and to really nail that process down and have such an operational rocket on its first launch, they aimed pretty high. They aimed higher than a Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy for their first orbital rocket. And they have the ability now to scale that architecture, you know, make a bigger vehicle. There's always been rumors of like a new Armstrong and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully they can land it. Hopefully they can learn from that, and hopefully it'll just get better from here, right? Let's see here. This is from Randy Anderson. When will Raptor 3 be installed on future rockets? That's a good question. I don't know if we have an exact timeline on that. We're waiting to just kind of see the first one start actually showing up at Starbase instead of just showing up and being tested at McGregor. So it's still, I think, pretty heavily in its development campaign and its qualification campaign. That's, you know, don't forget, that's how these things work. They might have a design rolled out that we see and we're like, cool, that's awesome. But behind the scenes, they have to really qualify it and say like, okay, here's it running at all these different throttle settings and going through all these different test campaigns. And anytime there's a failure, you have to learn from it and iterate on that. And SpaceX is very good at doing that, especially the teams at McGregor are like the real, I feel like McGregor is kind of the real secret sauce to a lot of SpaceX's success, because they're the ones that are testing and breaking and reporting back and doing a lot of the wrenching on the stuff right there. But they're currently going through Starship or Raptor version 3 right now as we speak, and learning from it, pushing its limits, testing it. And then once they kind of know for sure they have a design that's, you know, flight ready, they're going to start cranking out production, you know, like they have with all the other Raptor engines. And so I think we should see it maybe this year. It's really hard to tell. That's one of those internal things. So yeah. We do, by the way, have one of our Rio views. Now, there is our very tight telescope. That is the one that's on equivalent of about 4,400 millimeters tracking telescope. So that's what wow, that's how foggy it is too. That's how foggy it is right now. You can barely see anything. And that's pretty, you know, that's pretty close. So it is very foggy. It's not the most beautiful day to be flying a rocket, but it might actually make for cool footage. So far, you know, we've had a few launches in a row that look sort of similar, where the conditions look, you know, relatively the same. It might be kind of cool and dramatic to see some new stuff. So, yeah. So Raptor 3, hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll see something like that come out and start flying maybe this summer, maybe by the end of the year. Hopefully, though, for sure. We will see. Jonathan, hi, Tim. Are they already reusing Raptor engines from the Catch Super Heavy booster? So the last one had a single engine. I don't remember if this one does. Did they report on that at all? Chat, anybody? I don't know if we know for sure or not if they reused any Raptor engines this time. That's a good question. I don't think I heard anything. But good question. Let me know, chat. If there was anything that was caught. I don't recall hearing anything about that. So we'll see. This is, again, from Tyler Lutz. Thank you so much. The Apollo video is fantastic. I really appreciate that. You are awesome. 61 months of membership from Shane. First, great job on the Astro Awards. Second, so thankful for your content. And my 3-month-old is wearing the normal shirt. That is so cool. Thank you so much, Shane. Really, really appreciate that. Oh, yeah, we've got prop load going. We've got, has that been happening? Did I just now catch this? Okay, I didn't even notice. I was just ranting, and we do have prop load going into the stage 0. That's a good sign. And normally that would happen, you know, I think that's T-minus an hour and 15 or so. Would we go for propellant load? So that is actually would be a sign that we're actually looking at an on-time liftoff of 5:30. Ooh, yeah. We'll see, I guess. That's great news. And again, don't forget, guys, if you are watching here, we will be pulling up the official SpaceX feed once so we can listen in, because I like to be informed with you guys. We learn a lot during these streams. I know that you hopefully you watch our streams because of our 4K views, and maybe you just like to say hi, which I always appreciate. But I like to watch these streams and learn as well. I really like to partake, so I will be pretty quiet during most of the official commentary, unless it's stuff that we've just heard 1,000 times over and over. Then I'll likely talk over and answer some questions. But I am sorry that I will, likely be missing a few of your questions during that time. And if I'm just kind of sitting here going, That's why, because I kind of like to listen for myself as well. So, Max West, Godspeed, B15S34, darn right. Online Recluse, and thank you guys both for your super chats. Love the moon landing documentary, amazing. Thank you so much. Um, oh, this is cool. From Tex Arcana, say my father-in-law was a Rocketdyne engineer for 28 years, worked on Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. He would have loved your work. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. So Daniel Jensen, yeah, we work with SpaceX, as official members of the press with the media. Other cameras that we have are actually on private land, and we've worked agreements and relationships with some of those individuals as well. So we don't place cameras anywhere. We've always been. I hope you guys do appreciate the long game we've been playing. Of like, we've never pushed the limits of doing anything at all shady, where we've always played by the rules 100%. We've never put cameras down where we don't have explicit permission to do so. We've always cooperated directly with SpaceX because we know that like we're extremely fortunate to be able to cover this stuff and be able to do these things. And we don't think it's never been worth it to hinder that relationship just to get a camera here or anything. It's like, no, you tell us what's okay and we'll do what's okay. So we coordinate on those ends to be able to make sure that everything's good. And once they're on private property too, that's America, baby, you can put them on private property. So like this camera, for instance, is on SpaceX property, and we that is where the credentialed media get the opportunity to be able to set cameras down there. Grant Dixon, thank you so much. I think that's your second super chat. Thank you. Buff Bagel saying booster offshore landings and catch a ship or use other tower and ship. I'm IFT9 booster offshore landings and catch a ship or use other tower to catch ship. So likely we'll see. Don't forget, like, even if they only had one tower, Starship and booster catch will be a decent amount of time apart. I think based on orbital mechanics, I don't think they would have the opportunity to land Starship only 90 minutes later. I just don't think that, with 28 degree or 20 whatever degree, what is this, like 26 degree, 28 degree-ish or orbital inclination? I don't remember what its latitude is. But at that inclination, the Earth will spin below it, and when its ground track would miss Starbase by quite a bit. So I'm guessing it'll likely take 3 orbits or so 4.5 hours for Starship to come back around, and by then they might already have the booster down and the arms ready to catch again. That's just a guess. We will see. Why don't we have our new little thing here where we can plug in abbreviations? Is that right? I don't know how to do that. We're working on some fun things on our system, and I don't think I know how to work it yet. Let's see here from Kiverix. Can't wait for it to be 1 a.m. for the launch, then 2 a.m. for the landing, especially when I have school. Cheers for a good launch. Well, thank you so much, and for staying up. That is very brave of you. Yeah. Let's see here. Patrick Mundinger. Patrick just became a member. Thank you so much for your membership. Greatly appreciate that. And Peter, here's some taco money. Oh yeah, the team loves some tacos, especially when you're down in Texas. There's not much that far south. You're getting actual legit, Mexican style street tacos. You got to speak Spanish in some of the places. That's when you know it's good. Is when you have to speak Spanish. You're getting the legit stuff. Marek says, have you seen the series For All Mankind? I haven't finished it. I've started it a few times. I love it. I mean to watch it. Maybe this next month I've got some road trips, and maybe I'll make it a point to try to take some time off when I had at night and watch that. Maybe that'll be the series that I try to watch before bed. I've got a big road trip coming up. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a family vacation this month, but also working on 2 videos that I'll be shooting with some people that I'll tell you about when I can. Let's see here. This is from Stars Over Jersey. Hope you answer this question, Tim. Well, guess what? Here you are. I really appreciate all the work you do bringing space to regular people like me. Where do you see yourself in 5 years in this rapidly growing space industry? I'm not going to lie. My goal is I really want to be streaming like this when humans land on the moon again. And then I don't know how much longer I want to be doing this job. I would like to probably potentially either work in the space industry, work on, in I don't know, work Just doing some other stuff. I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah, maybe just building shipping container houses. I don't know. Maybe building shipping container houses for Mars. Who knows? Um, yeah. I'm seeing here that in chat it does appear that we might just have a war, a flag war going on. Well, that's great. No, I appreciate anyone from around the world watching this. Of course, that's the beautiful thing about these launches. We're here to talk rockets, of course. We're here to talk about and witness the largest, most powerful rocket ever flying for the 8th time. So feel free to, of course, chat and hang out with other fellow space enthusiasts. But I don't think we need to try to get into anything else in regards to that. Jeff Martin towing Apollo video was amazing. I'm very skeptical of if we actually went, but you did answer some of them. I wish they would have had Blue Ghost land somewhere close so they could have shown. Well, again, we have two separate videos, two separate photos from totally different missions that do confirm it. So I don't know, I feel like if Blue Ghost had landed at one of the Apollo sites, people would have been like, well, that was from the United States. Of course they're going to like fake that too. It's like, where does that end? Where's that line blur? And at what point, and then if India landed, if India landed next to the Apollo 16 site, and then people would be like, well, yeah, but they had to fake it because they're friendly with the United States. It's like, where's that end? At what point does that end? So I don't know what else you could possibly do. And that's not part of the Artemis program. It's the Artemis program is landing on the south pole of the moon for a lot of strategic reasons. And why would you waste one of those missions where you're trying to learn about the environment of the South Pole, especially the ice and the lunar the sun solar conditions on the south pole of the moon? Why would you waste one of those multi $100-some million missions just to be like, oh look, we confirmed the thing that we've been telling you? We have thousands of pictures and videos that we already showed you guys. Here's one more, I guess. It cost $120 million, but now you have more that you're just going to call fake. Like, what? To that, what's the end? To what end? Thank you so much from 199 or 199 from the Broke Audio File. Thank you very much. From Beowulf, I have, but it's made me realize I've only seen the first steps, not the rest of the broadcast. So that's on my to-do list now. Yeah. So. I hope you do watch the rest of the video. I hope that video was fun enough for you to want to go back to it, watch more of it, and keep coming back to it. The big idea too, remember, a lot of people were wondering, why are you wasting your time with this video? The Apollo video wasn't meant necessarily to try to change anyone's mind. It really isn't. It's not going to. I already see a million conspiracy theories immediately saying, well, what about the Van Allen belts? Like, that's one of the chapters. That's one of the... You obviously aren't watching this, and that's fine. It's not for them, right? It's really meant to be a resource so that when people, people like the reason I made this video is I have friends that are not, full-blown conspiracy theorists that actually have questions like, I don't understand how they could have survived the Van Allen belts. They're literally phrasing like that. And that video is for them so that you can understand how this stuff works. It's okay to have those questions. And by having this resource out there, hopefully for the rest of time, hopefully it does help answer those questions for people. So, yeah. Let's see here. I see that chat is having a great time. I see that the chat is having a great time with your flags and with arguing still. Hey, guys, what's any of that have to do with today? I'm excited that everyone's here, and I'm excited that you're all trying to chat amongst yourselves. And mods, don't even ban anybody. Don't, unless they're like literally, doxing people and saying actual hate speech. There's no need to, people are free to do whatever they want, but I'm just asking you, as a human to another human, let's just keep it on topic. Is that so hard? We're here to watch a rocket launch. It's exciting. I hope that you're all excited for this. We're watching, hopefully, the progress of humans being able to develop an awesome, reusable, fully reusable launch system. Thank you so much, Wesley, for becoming a member. By the way, I'm going to go on a mini rant. Here we go. It used to be, maybe when I was growing up, maybe this is back in my day kind of talk. I don't feel like everything was always black and white. Like, I've talked about this a lot. Where is the nuance in life? Why is it like everything has to be this or that? And so few people are like, well, I like this part. I don't know if you've ever, spoken to like a therapist who might teach you things like, it's okay to say, a part of me doesn't like this. And like, where is that in people these days? Where is the part where it's like, a part of me doesn't like this, but I also am excited about this. Do I like This part of things, not always. Like, how can we not just stop, our filtering everything? Everything that goes through our eyeballs or into our ears comes out for some people as like instantly through their lens of something. Like, that's not what today's about. That's not what this broadcast is about. You're more than welcome to engage in all the political things you want and all of the, left or right side of things as you want. I don't care. That's great. That's what I think. That's what freedom really is, right? Is having that ability. But having the ability to turn that off and or remove that from some of your daily conversation with your friends and your family, like, to what end? Again, like, to what, like, how did this happen? And I think there's a lot. I talked about this with my friends a lot. Everyone's sick of it. Like, no one. I have friends on the left and on the right, and no one wants that. And yet, like, everyone's doing it. And I literally think it's social media. I literally think when you're on your phone scrolling for hours a day, everything goes through that lens because it's forced on us like that. I really think that's the enemy. I really do think, and it's funny for me to say because I'm like a social media guy. That's like literally how I make my living, and I hate it. I hate that that's what it's done to us as a species. I hate that it's removed the humanity, removed the nuances, removed the gray areas, and it's just all about click and, left or right, black and white. There's no in between, and everyone has to hate the other side, and everything is evil. And it's like, no, no. So there you go. There's my speech for today. Practice nuanced thinking. Practice holding multiple emotions at once. Practice saying that you like this. That doesn't mean you can't like this, or that you shouldn't like this, or that you don't feel pressured by people too. Of like, I get a lot of pressure from people saying, how dare you continue to cover SpaceX? And it's like, my job is to cover rockets. What are you talking about? Like, why wouldn't I? How bad of a job would I be doing if I wasn't doing my job? Like, I don't understand. I do not understand. Let's change topics. Craig Poole, thank you so much for your chat, or your support. Tim, the Apollo video was amazing. With all the research you put into it, would you consider debating a moon? Yes, I have tried. We've actively been working with Bart Seabrill and with Lex Friedman to do a debate, and I prepared for it. I have fully prepared, and I'm ready for that. And unfortunately, it's backed out twice. We've had dates on the calendar twice. Now that this video is out, hopefully it puts a little extra milk in the honey. I have no idea what. Like, hopefully it puts a little extra butter on the bread. Yeah, no one's ever put milk in their honey. So hopefully it puts a little extra fuel in the tank. Maybe it puts a little. I have no idea. But yes, I would love for that to happen, and I'm pushing for that to happen. So, Tyler Lutz, thank you so much for all the effort you put into the Apollo video. It's an amazing watch and worth the 2-hour and 20-minute runtime. Thank you very much. Let's see here. So, Luke Don, can you tell us the main ship and booster changes? So, realistically, we don't really know what exactly has changed, other than some plumbing has kind of been changed and likely almost reverted on Starship version 2 for this particular vehicle that they talked about in their post. And yeah, they fixed whatever caught on fire and sprung a leak on the last one. And that's the main changes, other than still continuing to really work on the heat shield tiles. That's the big thing. And by work on, I mean like literally just testing and practicing what happens with different types of heat shield tiles. So that's the main difference. I think Ring Watchers, I didn't even check if Ring Watchers had a deep dive on it again, but Ring Watchers does an amazing job. Let's see if they have what's new and different type of thing on Flight 8. Latest articles, maybe, perhaps. Flight 8, rinse and repeat. So yeah, there's really not a lot. We'll put it that way that I know of. But there is a nice little article here from Ring Watchers, and I can't recommend Ring Watchers enough. Ring Watchers are amazing. Let's keep going here. Waiting for the launch. Greetings from Argentina. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Thankless from Nicholas. And hello, Argentina. Let's see. Peter, $40. Thank you so much, Peter. Happy 40th. Just 40 myself a couple days ago. I'll buy you a beer if we meet up at a launch. Well, thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate that. And cheers and happy birthday to you as well. Cheers to 40. It's a good age. Let's see here. Patrick says, 4 years ago today, tomorrow, depends on your time zone, there was the SN10 landing. It just blows my mind. Greetings from Germany. You're right. That was. Holy crap. That was 4 years ago. That's crazy. I'm actually shocked that was that long ago already. Hold on. I'm going to real quick kick this fan on. I always forget that when I'm talking, I get all heated up. Yeah, people are, oh yeah, why is our clock showing T plus? That is my bad. What? Here, I can work on it. Did we have it at the wrong 20? Let's see if I fixed it. You're right, guys. I don't know how that happened. No, now it's totally a wrong time. Right? That is an hour off now. What's the correct time in UTC? 22? 23 shows 2 hours. So I think it's 22. Oh God, I think we're fighting on it maybe. That's good. 23. That's weird. Going from 22 goes plus, 23 goes 2 minus 2 hours. Yeah, what's going on? I think we have an issue with our clock. What the? 22:30. Watch this. Will be plus 3 minutes. If I go 23:30, it goes T minus 2 hours. Someone ping Mary Liz. Okay. That is really, maybe we'll just remove the clock for now. I'm really sorry about that, guys. But we are coming up on the official SpaceX feed here. Hopefully in about 20 minutes, less than 15 minutes or so. And so hopefully that will let us know everything. So yeah, our clock is broken. Y2K happened, everyone. Maybe it's because of that power outage with the Blimp. It induced Y2K, and then Y2K happened, and now the times are all crisscrossed. That makes actually the most amount of sense. Carl, how much of the fuel is produced in the tank farm, and how much is trucked in? It's all trucked in. There's zero amount produced there at the tank farm for now. SpaceX did have an ASU, an air separator unit at Starbase, that was able to produce a little bit of liquid oxygen, but they really almost never used it. They are hoping to build some air separator units there on the pad, because oxygen is the primary mass of the vehicle. If they can produce oxygen on site at the pad, that would be a huge upgrade. And then they can just truck in the methane. So, or eventually do the Sabatier process and pull methane, produce methane out of basically water and pulling carbon dioxide out of the air. So that's the story on that. Robert C. Would Starship benefit by splitting it into 3 stages, aka adding a kick stage? It just makes it harder and harder to recover, most likely. If you have a higher, I mean, it does make sense for like interplanetary missions and stuff to do a kick stage or to do an expendable version of Starship. But 3-stage vehicles, yeah, I mean, again, like kind of like the Saturn V, to get something into low Earth orbit and then basically have a giant kick stage like the S4B is a heck of a kick stage. But that architecture does work really well for high energy missions. But Starship, I think that the best solution for Starship is, I think, like, let's say we are working on like a Earth to moon system and we're landing on the moon constantly, needing to have access to the moon, trying to do it as cheap as possible without using SLS and Orion. I think the best thing they could do would be able to have a tanker, that's constantly being refueled and constantly topped off, like literally almost every day being topped off. Then they could have a transfer vehicle that just is a trans Earth and moon vehicle that is totally stripped down, doesn't have landing gear for landing on the moon, doesn't have anything but vacuum optimized Raptor engines. And it's a decent habitable volume, so the astronauts can, hang out and cruise to the moon. And that just goes between the Earth and the moon, and it aero brakes, so it still would actually have small flaps and small and heat shields, but it doesn't need to land. So it have some hardware like that, but it's very stripped down. And actually doesn't necessarily need that, because you can just aero brake at an altitude where the only problem is it's diminishing returns. Like if you if you only aero brake so much that you don't heat up the vehicle very much, you have to do multiple passes to get back down to like low Earth orbit, right? And so that might be like, the first orbital pass is a 6-day pass, and the next one's like a 5-day, then 4 days, and 3, 2. So like it might add up to like a 2-week time to come down if you're trying to keep your temperatures, your peak temperature, low enough. So you'd probably still want to have some extra heat shielding on even a vehicle like that is aero braking, if it's aero braking. And then that would transfer, then they transfer the crew onto a low Earth orbit down to the ground version, that just lands back on Earth. And maybe that version has a few backups of some kind or something. I think that would be, then also you have the actual lunar lander that goes between lunar orbit. And the other thing is that Earth to moon transfer vehicle would also have to be a tanker as well to be able to refuel the lander for the moon. There's going to have to be a lot of the stuff anyway for the Artemis program, but I think to really flesh it out and make it super efficient, that is what it would take. But again, that's just kind of my opinion on it. Will we see a payload sim reentry from the onboard ship cameras? Probably not, because they're doing the Raptor relight afterwards, after the deployment. So it's going to separate itself by a good amount. So let's say it changes its velocity by, say, 30 meters per second. Do that, let's say it's 30 meters per second difference. And the last, that was at like T plus 20 minutes, would be hang on. When is that relight? The relight is 37 minutes, and entry is like, we'll say 20 minutes later. So 20 minutes times 30 is 600 at 30 meters per second is 1,800. So it'd be like 2 kilometers away by that point, basically. Would be about how far away the Starship would be from those satellites. So you might actually see some flames in some shots. That'd be really, really cool. Again, and that's just a very rough, like if it was 30 meters per second for that Raptor relay, I actually have no idea how much it changed. We can actually figure that out though by looking at Flight 6. Let's just do that. Why not? That's what you guys come here for, is for random stuff. Flight 6 Starship. Let's look at what that was. How much velocity did it change when it did that Raptor relay? Which I think is right about there. Okay, so is that 26,000? What was that? Hang on, 26,560. Okay, 562. 26,640 kilometers an hour. So so there's about 80 kilometers an hour. Is about 22 meters per second. So it'd probably be about a little over 1 kilometer away. And these are fairly large. And if they're making a lot of flames a kilometer away with those wide angle lenses, maybe you would actually be able to see it. That'd be really, really cool, actually. If some of the camera views were able to see the reentry. But it has to be pointing in the right direction. Those cameras have to be pointing in the right direction. So don't forget, those are going to fly away. And from the perspective of Starship, even if it's prograde or retrograde, even if Starship is speeding up on its orbit, which I think it does, so it actually extends, no matter what those, even let's say it was going the other way, let's say it was actually flying prograde or retrograde, it always looked like the Starlink dummy sats would fly away from it, like no matter what. That's just how that would look. So yeah, I think we could maybe potentially see that. I had never really thought about that, to be honest. Hey, we have good news here in our Discord. Chad in our Discord says the clouds are breaking. You can see some blue sky between the clouds above me. Can we get some of that on our RoboCam? Actually, on the left camera on our screen, you do see the sky is a way more of a blue color than it has been. Maybe one of our robo cameras could look up and give us a shot of the sky. That'd be really, really cool. Let's see, from S. Denner, how many spacecraft for people are currently in development apart from Starship and Dream Chaser? Well, Orion is still technically an option. Starliner is still technically an option. Rocket Lab has teased something like that. Yeah, from this angle, it does kind of look the same. What about Mr. Oh, there we go. Look. There's a little blue. From the south, that's not good at all. And what about Mr. T? Is Mr. T any clear? Oh, look at, yeah. That's an improvement. So that's good, at least. Thank you for your weather observations, Chad, in our Discord. Greatly appreciate it. By the way, we do have an amazing Discord channel, by the way. If you guys want to be part of the Discord, the only way I still have it integrated, because it's like the only way that worked. I tried it a long time ago with YouTube. Maybe I should try again. That was like very early on. But Patreon, if you go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut, you can gain access to our Discord community. And it's awesome. We have a lot of people that I've met in real life now. Yeah, which is really cool. We met at the, had a good time meeting at Astro Awards and things like that. So very cool. Patreon.com/everydayastronaut if you want to show support. So good news too is that the SpaceX stream has also reappeared on X, which is a good sign. So I like that. I like signs that we're going towards the launch. I have not heard anything else. This does say that the stream would be starting at 5 o'clock, and they were saying T-minus 40 minutes, I believe. So that would be about a 5:40 time. Our clock is still borked for whatever reason. We will let you know. Let's see, Caleb, is there an issue with the payload deployment? Do you believe re-entry would be different if the mass is still on board? Well, actually, that'd be a really good test. I would love, actually, how cool would it be if they actually have 10 on board, which I don't think there is, and they kept 6 of them on board and deployed 4, and therefore had to let the telemetry and the vehicle's control systems be able to figure out how and when to land exactly. I think that would be awesome. That'd be a really fun test. But I don't think that's the case, but that'd be really cool. Liam the Rocket Nerd, I have watched the Apollo video 6.5 times, watching the whole thing. It is amazing. Thank you for all your hard work, Tim and team. You really kickstarted my path towards a job at SpaceX. Love to hear it, Liam. Love to hear it. Yeah, it was a labor of love. I will tell you that. It was a major labor of love. This is from Dino CR. What is Starship flight path when returned to, I assume Boca Chica catch attempt is made. Thoughts on murmurs? DC is questioning SLS viability long term, and Disco the program. I'm not sure what Disco the program means. Discontinue, maybe that would be I had to think about that. I was like, why would that sounds kind of familiar? Discontinue the program. So the flight path, I don't know for sure if it'd be coming. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'd always have to be, because it'd have to be basically at the peak. So it'd almost always, I think, be flying over mostly Mexico to get back to Starbase for Starship. And the catch attempt might be made as early as literally a month from now, or a month and a half, depending on how this launch goes. Rumors of SLS viability is 100% in the question. I mean, we have heard rumors of that a long time ago, and persistent rumors. So there is the chance that SLS would be canceled during the Trump administration for sure, which I think at this point, I think it is the absolutely the right call. SLS is costing a lot of money. It'd be really sad that money would likely not stay in NASA. If they cut the funding for SLS, I don't think it would increase other areas of NASA's budget, which would be of concern. It's kind of one of those that's half the pork. Let's see, 5:45 for liftoff. We just got an official go for prop load officially for a 5:45. Let me try our clock again, see if I can actually reset that for 5:45. Let's see, maybe it's just now it says T-minus 1 hour and 60 minutes when I do that. Let me try this again. We are having some glonky issue. That one is now showing T plus. So we don't have the ability right now to do this. Period. That is so weird. There's something wrong with our clock. Oh yeah, it might be metric hours. It's T-minus 2 metric hours. That's what's wrong with our clock. Yeah, I guess we're not showing a clock then until we get that potential. But that is a good sign, guys. T-minus 4 launch will go broadcast about T-minus 4 hours. So we have about 20 more minutes before the SpaceX stream starts. Yeah, yay. Okay, that's a good sign. So yeah, we might not have SLS in 4 years. Ghost Burrito, will I be able to see it in Europe? Most likely, no. The ground track would stay. No, I mean, not most likely. The answer is no. You will not see it in Europe. I don't know why I said most likely. It flies basically goes a little bit south out of Texas, down through the Bahamas, and then it ends up going down over South Africa, basically. The only other people that might be able to see it around the planet would be obviously those in the Caribbean, and then South Africa would maybe have a chance if it's, yeah. I like how a lot of people are metric hours. Yeah, metric hours. Our clock's a little bit borked right now from metric time. Actually, like I said, it's Y2K. The blimp hit the timeline, and then it opened up a small time portal. We're dealing with that. We have a lot of stuff going on. Ninja Guy Dan, thanks for all the rocket engine videos, explanations, and Starbase tours. It really helps fill the blanks and helps us understand all this. You're welcome, Ninja Guy Dan. I'm pretty sure you're the one that I have met before at a ninja gym, maybe, perhaps, maybe. Good to hear from you. Thank you so much. Shrub show bobsleigh. Shrub show bobsleigh. That, I don't know why, that is maybe the best name I've heard today. Go Prop, what's the most important milestone you're hoping for? For sure, I'm hoping to see the deploy of Payload today. Would be a really good milestone. Once they're deploying payloads, we're only, dummy payloads, we're really close to seeing real payloads and operational missions happening. So, yeah. Let's see here. Falcon's Maze, can I show the Apollo video to a group of students? Of course. That is 100% why I make these videos, is to be in the public domain for people to watch them, and especially for students and educational purposes. That's 100% why I make them. So thank you so much for even considering showing it to a group of students. That actually means a lot. Meat Hooks just became a member. Thank you so much. Oh, cool. Martin says that Raptor 300 is being reused. This is part, I missed that. I don't know if I got that, but that's good to know. So we do have another reuse of an engine. I missed that. Is there any cargo this time? Yes, there's 4 Starlink dummy sats. Let's see here. Why is Nightbot? I thought I've literally deactivated Nightbot. Sorry if you're getting muted by Nightbot. We have an overactive drone already, a drone lord already. For the mods, well, thank you so much. There you go, mods. Thank you for your hard work. It is a day today, isn't it? It is a day right now. GiverX became a member. Thank you so much. From Hoy Doge, or Hoy Doi. Hey, Tim, do you or anyone in chat know a nice website to find inspiration for spaceflight themed tattoos? Or maybe someone likes to design in chat. That's a good question. I don't know of any spaceflight themed tattoo artists, period, that just do spaceflight themed or anything. But I'm sure you could Google spaceflight tattoo, and maybe someone does specialize in that, and you'd get some inspiration. But let's see here. S Beaker says, how early before the launch do they evacuate people on site? The roads close about T-minus 4-ish hours. Is that? I don't remember what it was today. That time kind of is constantly changing as they get more and more efficient with things. It used to be T-minus 12 hours they do road closures. Nowadays it's just close the road as late as possible. I would expect to actually see the road closure happen starting about T-minus 2 hours. But they do want, just because the road's closed, they do need to make sure that no one is in the area. So it's not just about the road closing. It's about making sure the whole area is clear and that everyone's safe. So let's see, this is from Billy Leedy. Will Starship Super Heavy have the option of either tower to be caught if one tower is having issues? I think eventually, sure. Once there's multiple towers like this that are operational, I would expect there to be that option, hey, divert to pad B, or whatever. I absolutely seeing that as being an option in the future. Let's see. Flo, dear Tim, big fan here. Would you still pursue interviews with Elon after his recent public behavior, such as his feud with Andy Moggensen on X? Cheers from Hamburg. I don't really, to be honest, I don't even pay attention to this stuff anymore. I really don't. I know that might be sad for some people, and to be honest, I don't know. I still like to talk about, I'm here to talk about rockets. My job is to talk about rockets. Yeah, let's just keep it at that, to be honest. Elliot, thank you so much. Flowery Sheep, when do you think Starship would be certified to carry humans? Um, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be several years. They'll need a lot of data to know, like, hey, this thing is, this safe to this statistical degree, has this amount of redundancy. Um, yeah, I think I do think that Starship. It still scares me not having an abort system. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. The lack of an abort is scary. By the way, I should mention, Andrew, that I don't think I've really heard pad audio yet. I don't know if it's um, just maybe quiet in my IFB. That'd be great. Okay, cool. Carl, thank you so much for becoming a member. Corey Abondolado, Abondanolo, when Starship launched from the Cape. I think, again, the Cape is really about, when will this thing be operational? When will they have a system figured out? I think Pad B, being a much more mature launch pad, once they test it out and go, yep, look at that. That is beautiful. It's like, okay, let's go. Let's go, pedal to the metal, full steam ahead. I think that's when we'll really start to see things happening at the Cape, especially once they have orbital missions down and they really start to need to up that cadence. I think we'll start seeing the Cape. Just Rad3V, do you have limitations from SpaceX to use their Stream from X? If you don't, why not more split screen stream with your cameras and SpaceX Stream, especially on Ascent? So that's kind of what we do. We literally do split screen. We do split screen stream. The timing gets a little weird because there's an inherent delay between them getting from real photons to it being up in the cloud on X. Takes anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds or whatever it is. Our photons to your eyeballs takes about 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 seconds or whatever the latency is. So there's always a bit of a mismatch there where if we're ingesting a stream, since it's delayed from real time, even if we weren't doing 4K or anything, there would always be a mismatch. So what we do is we typically go to only our footage, so it all lines up, it all stays in real time, right at liftoff. So the timing and all the things count and matter and are in sync. And then once they're both airborne, we'll start bringing back in the SpaceX feeds, especially like by stage separation. Then we really want those SpaceX feeds because they have all of the on camera, on rocket views that we don't want to miss, and the commentary that we don't want to miss. Daniel Station, hey Tim. Yeah, that is incredibly condensation. It's going crazy there. Daniel, how you doing, man? Yeah, absolutely. And also, you saw again during the VIP meet and greet. It was nice to see you and meeting you in person. Same goes to you, Daniel. It was really great, again, meeting people that we see. Really, really great to see people that we know, in Discord and stuff, in real life. It's awesome. So thank you for saying hi, Daniel. And thank you for your donation here. This is from Sayantin Biswas. Hello, everybody. Astronaut, you are my inspiration to become a fighter pilot in my country. I'm really thankful for that, man. Hey, that is awesome. Thank you so much. I really hope you the best of luck. I think the most important thing is chase your passion. If you're passionate about flight, about aerospace, if you're passionate about art or music, whatever it is, like chase it fully. That's the number one thing that I've learned is no one can really tell what you're driven to do. And I think your drive and your passions should be the ones driving you. You shouldn't be doing things, that you're not passionate about. So as long as that's your passion, just pursue it fully. Give it your all, and you'll never go wrong then. Absolol, have a great launch night. Thank you so much. Craig Johnson, if human Starship has problems after launch, could it safely splash down, or will they need backup towers downrange? I don't know. That's quite far in the future for them to be able to have that many abort modes of what if Starship needs to abort from the booster? Elon had talked about that a long time, like in 2019, had the conversation because I was saying, I really think there should be an abort. And he was trying to say that they could use, the sea level Raptors and the vacuum Raptors to be able to do an abort even on the pad. And if you run the thrust to weight ratio, there's almost no way that could work. So I really would hope that there is a backup, like a true backup option, even if it's like a separate capsule almost, that ejects. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Let's see here. I think I'm missing some really generous donations, and I will try to get to them as soon as I can. So sorry if I'm missing some of your stuff, guys. LTB says, obviously we need landing gear on Mars. Starship landing gear is heavy. What kind of redesigns and balance of weight distribution does SpaceX need to undertake to change its current version? So remember, Starship is not like a one size shoe fits all. There's going to be optimized versions for every different walk of life. We talked about this in a long time ago in a video about Starship versus Falcon 9. Unlike Falcon 9, which basically just has a fairing version and a no fairing version, Starship will have a cargo variant that has like the alligator doors. It'll have a Pez dispenser door. It'll have tanker versions. It'll have crew versions. Hopefully, it'll have the landing system version on Mars. It'll have a different landing system version for the moon. Like it's just completely, that's the beauty of having this giant manufacturing facility and all these people able to make changes. Is when you have a different design come through, it's not a huge deal. If SLS made a change, it'd take 10 years, right? And that's its biggest problem. It's like they're trying to upgrade to the exploration upper stage, and just ramping that up has taken way too long. Just ridiculous. And I think that's the beauty of having all of this built-in stuff, being able to literally see these things come together and make changes on the fly. When it comes to, hey, we're going to change this up to be a different add landing legs or whatever, they can literally manufacture it and produce that stuff all in house right there. Super Fish Fry, thank you so much. I don't know why we're naming things. I've never liked that. I don't like having to change names for anything, but I appreciate that. 3D print. Wait, that's. Oh, I see. Oh, this is from, okay, Super Fish Fry, thank you so much. 3D printed hardware. Last month, I saw the Vandenberg Falcon 9 launch in California from Phoenix. I recorded through my window and posted on the X page. It was kind of awesome to see. Isn't it one of the right conditions? You can see rockets from so far away, especially when they're backlit illuminated. So for rockets launching from Florida, that'd be, if it's pre-dawn, like the sun has not risen yet, a rocket launches, this exhaust gets illuminated by the sun to the east, right? So from the ground, it's still dark, but you see the illumination backscattering. So you see the backlit illumination of the exhaust is what makes that. That's the twilight phenomena. And it's even better. So it's always better either on the pre-dawn on the East Coast or post-sunset on the West Coast. So depending on what time of year and what time it launches, all that kind of stuff, you can sometimes get these absolutely spectacular ones. SpaceX is live. Sweet. We will bring in the SpaceX. Feed here as soon as we can. What were the pros and cons of putting the SQD on the other side of the OLM? Ooh, is this how this works? Let me see if I can push this abbreviation. Hang on. There's like a new system we have that I think will push the abbreviations, but I don't know how that works. Oh, poop. I think I'm messing something up. Anyway, so if you put the quick disconnect on the other side, this is definitely a question for Zach. Zach Golden is, the master of stage 0. But if you have the SQD on the other side, you have the chance of at liftoff, it does kind of a bit of a power slide. It kind of tries to get away from the tower, right? It has a little bit of a diversion maneuver. If you have something there that it could potentially trip on, if it slides over a little bit too much, then you could have clearance issues if you rotate it 180 degrees. If you put it off to the side, 90 degrees, you hopefully, right now it kind of takes the full blunt of the exhaust. It'd be pretty nice to avoid some of that. So if it was off to the sides, that might be a little bit better way to do that. But that they're going to have a more clever solution on pad B, and we will see. We're working on getting we'll have the X feed live once they start talking. So they're doing their music thing. We'll get them ready to go live as soon as they actually go live for real. This is from Joshua Plays. Do you think we will see a launch? And if so, will we see a catch? I think they're going for launch because they're well into fueling. Or at least not well into prop load, but the prop load has started, and the SpaceX feed is about to go live as well. So then we'll get real-time updates, which would be fantastic. Thomas Mall, thank you for sharing your scientific knowledge and keeping the chat about things that matter. Thank you so much for that friendly reminder as well, Thomas. I think it's more important to find things you have in common with someone than to find things you have different with someone. And I think the chat can sometimes be very divisive in that way, where everyone's looking for everything that they have different with everybody, but I think it's a lot more fun to come together on things that you have in common. So I assume if you're watching this stream right now, your common love is of spaceflight, is of seeing the world's largest rocket ever to fly and hopefully make new milestone progresses today. And I like to just keep it at that personally. So hopefully you join me. Derek Rochelle says, moved to Space Coast 4 years ago to get to watch launches out my front door. When Starship comes back to the Cape, would you consider a meet and greet? Maybe. I used to do some meet and greets when I go out to Florida. Lately, it just becomes so hard when we have like a production at the Cape. We're so often like, if we're not sleeping, we're literally going and like we're like behind the scenes, like we're through the like security gate at the Cape, and it just becomes so hard to be able to like go back and forth. It's surprisingly challenging. But I do need to do it. That'll be a goal for this year, is to do another meet and greet. I still need to do a Midwest meet and greet, but yeah, we'll have to plan that one out. And that's the other hard part, is like, how do you plan a meet and greet when this thing's launching every month at this point? And like, how do you plan any part of your life when this thing's launching once a month and everyone expects us to do full coverage of these? And I still like to cover it. We're still seeing milestones, but really quickly we're going to be moving away from this thing being exciting and new milestones to being completely ordinary and mundane. And I don't know what the off ramp of that looks like, because I've never had to really think about that. I mean, I guess we did for Falcon 9. Like once Falcon 9 started landing all the time, it was just like, oh yeah, another Starlink launch. Actually, Starlink was pretty much the turning point for Falcon 9. Starship will have that moment here, I think, already within the next year or two for sure. From SC1338, hey Tim, when will the model be available again? And will the ship land in the Gulf of America this time, you think? No, the ship better not be anywhere near the Gulf of America or the Gulf of Mexico, previously known as the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know what its official name is. I'll call it by whatever name the world considers it. If it lands anywhere near there, near the Gulf, I'm just going to call it the Gulf. Haha. Then yeah, it'd be very bad if it lands in the Gulf. It needs to overfly the Gulf like it has previously. It needs to land in the Indian Ocean. That would be good. Or are we changing that now to like the China Ocean? I'll keep calling that the Indian Ocean for now, because I don't know if we're having to change that name too. The models will hopefully be available. They're in quality control right now, being shipped to the warehouse. They're in the United States. They're ready for all of that stuff. And so they're in quality control. Hopefully they're available in the next month or two. So fingers crossed. Uncle Pice's first-time contributor. Love your content. Society is divided, and most people feel the need to attach themselves to someone else's opinion. And if you oppose, you're the enemy. Very few people think for themselves. No unity. You know, Uncle Pie, thank you so much for your contribution. And I think that's just important, is to realize, like, and I feel this right now, literally from both sides. I feel equally pressured by both sides to either conform to, there's only two things right now. Elon's either the actual Lord and Savior Jesus Christ walking on earth, saving everything, or he's the actual Antichrist, Nazi, and those are the only two things. And I have to be aligned with one of those things. I can't think multiple things or have a more nuanced opinion on the matter at all, or else I'm either a Nazi or I'm denying Jesus Christ. You know, like it's a, wait, what? Like, I don't operate that way. I don't have that strong of opinions about things myself. I like to say that this is like a common thing for me, is okay to agree with people that you don't like, and it's okay to disagree with people that you like. And we'll just keep it at that. So thank you so much, Uncle Pie. So let's parlay here. We're going to watch SpaceX live now and listen in, see if we can learn any information.
39 minutes away and counting down to a liftoff at 5:45 p.m. Central Time today.
Yeah, and if you were wondering, yes, that is the pad just behind us. Now, just over 1 month ago, we saw the second ever tower catch of the Super Heavy booster there at that pad. And that was also the first ever flight of the next generation of ship, which successfully lit all 6 Raptor engines and flew for several minutes before contact was lost.
That's right. We completed our investigation following that mission, made a number of hardware operational changes for today's flight. We're going to detail all of those in just a few minutes. Important to remember, though, progress in a developmental program like this one, it's not always linear. There's no comparison, though, for putting that flight hardware in a flight environment to learn as fast as possible. And as always, primary payload for Starship Flight test campaign is data.
The objectives for today's flight will look very similar to Flight 7. We're planning to deploy simulated Starlink satellites and fly a range of experiments. We've moved a number of tiles from ship. We've removed a number of tiles from the ship for re-entry testing. We will also intentionally be stressing the flaps during re-entry so we can test the limits of ship before we get ready to attempt future ship catches. So lots of new testing happening today, and as always, excitement is definitely guaranteed.
And just checking on things at the pad real quick as we're under 38 minutes away. We are tracking to 5:45 p.m. Central Time liftoff. We've got a window all the way to 6:30 p.m. We have started prop load. You'll start to see those frost lines building up on both Super Heavy and Starship. We're not tracking any technical issues, any range issues, any weather issues from a launch at that 5:45 p.m. mark. So we are loading prop on the vehicles, looking good for a launch in just a little over 37 minutes.
Cool.
Now, let's meet today's vehicle on the pad. It's the world's biggest rocket, Starship.
Yeah, you see it there on your screen, but to get an even better sense of how big Starship is, let's start with the average size human, which is about 2 meters high, or a little over 6 feet. Towering over our human is the length of the Millennium Falcon, which comes in at 35 meters. Our Falcon 9 rocket, which is has the payload fairing attached, is double the height of the Millennium Falcon at 70 meters. And twice nearly the size of that is the fully stacked Starship, just over 123 meters tall. The ship is about 52 meters tall, and the Super Heavy booster alone stands at about 71 meters. So it's pretty big. And we do have plans to make the ship and booster even taller in the future, if you can imagine.
And Starship itself features two major parts. We've got ship, that's the fully reusable upper stage powered by 6 Raptor engines. And then we have the Super Heavy booster that's fully reusable first stage with 33 of those Raptor engines powering it. Super Heavy, the most powerful rocket ever flown, designed to launch, return, refuel, launch again with 0 refurb. And to make all of that happen, we also have Stage 0. That's everything else you see around it that enables Starship to fly. The tower, the orbital launch mount, quick disconnects, prop farm, everything. Stage 0 is also just as critical to achieving that rapid reuse as Starship itself.
Back on the rocket, the ship features 6 Raptors, 3 of them for sea-level engines and 3 for vacuum engines. Raptor Vacuum, or RVAC, is a similar design to the Raptor engine, but features a larger exhaust section and a larger expansion nozzle to maximize the engine's efficiency in space. It's also designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface, useful for when you're taking off from a place like Mars that's still waiting for its first launch tower.
And that ship is outfitted with 4 flaps that are used to control the vehicle's attitude during subsonic flight and to enable a precision landing. The 2 upper ones are right here. And then to achieve full reusability, the ship has to survive entry not just once, but multiple times every single time we send it up and bring it back. It does that with its heat shield, which we iterate on every single flight as we're just building towards a heat shield that requires no refurbishment. The one today, it's still composed of those thousands of hexagonal ceramic tiles. And they're designed to insulate the vehicle during that atmospheric reentry where some of those temperatures spike up as high as about 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. That's one of the real big things we're still working on. Rapidly reusable heat shield has never existed in history. So just continuously improving on it right now is just a key focus for all of these flight tests.
And then there in between the first and second stages is our hot stage. We saw that in action first starting on Flight 2. The hot staging maneuver is when the upper stage engines are ignited before the booster engines are completely cut off. With hot staging, the rocket never stops accelerating during separation. So it's actually more efficient than traditional stage separation, even though it sounds kind of crazy. You actually see it there on your screen now. That is one of the upgrades that we made on Flight 2, thanks to lessons that we learned on Flight 1. Several of the improvements and upgrades made for today's flight will unlock our ability to fly longer missions, something that we'll want to start doing, as we start doing orbital flights around Earth, and of course, eventually to Mars.
And ship definitely had a lot of lessons learned on Flight 7, but Super Heavy Booster put on one hell of a show for our second ever return to launch site and catch. Marked our first reflight of hardware, shout out Engine 314, and it brought us a lot closer to full reuse. For more on that, get ready, Internet. We're going to be joined now by our buddy Chris out in Hawthorne. How's it going, Chris?
And thank you, Dan, and I couldn't agree more. Raptor 134 definitely started us down that path toward rapid reusability for the Raptor engines, and who knows, maybe we'll see it again. Stay tuned. Welcome, everyone, to Hawthorne, California. As you can hear, excitement is building as we count down to Starship's 8th flight test. Behind me, you can see one of our mission control rooms where engineers here in Hawthorne are assisting our flight control teams in Starbase, keeping an eye on various systems like Starship's avionics and, of course, those powerful Raptor engines that have quite a workout ahead of them today. Now, the Raptor engines you'll see and definitely hear today were manufactured right here in Hawthorne, California. And the engines on today's flight are all Raptor 2 engines, which is the same design we've been using for Starship's flight tests to date. And that includes all of the engines that have powered the 2 Super Heavy boosters back to Starbase for catch and recovery by Mechazilla. But here at SpaceX, we like to continuously improve our designs by eliminating the parts we don't need. We call this applying the algorithm, and that helps us simplify designs and drives us toward rapid, reliable reuse. And that's just what we're doing with our Raptor engines, like you can see here on your screen. I love this family photo of the Raptors because it really shows you the unprecedented step forward in rocket design that Raptor 3 is. And you can really tell that we applied the algorithm here, questioning the requirements for the engine, finding the parts we didn't need, and then optimizing for manufacturability and reuse. Now, one of the cool things about Raptor 3 is that it eliminates the large and heavy engine heat shields, which means that when we move from the Raptor 2 to the Raptor 3 engines on Starship, each Raptor 3 engine is going to save us about 1.1 metric tons of mass, and that's a lot of mass when you multiply that by 39 or more engines. So Raptor 3 will help us increase Starship's efficiency and as well as the amount of mass that Starship is able to deliver to space. And I gotta say personally, it's really exciting to be looking at the engine that will make life multiplanetary, beginning with Mars. But before we get to Mars, we still have a lot of important and critical development work to do. And it's flight tests like today's that help us do just that. So as we get ready for Flight 8, let's take a look back at last month's Flight 7.
Yay for Chris. Guys, this is already available on YouTube, but let's hear it for Chris G., former NASA spaceflight commentator. I mean, OG. Chris has been around forever. That is so cool seeing him actually work at SpaceX. Fun to see a familiar face. I did need to point out real quick that we did have, even now, it looked like SpaceX's feeds clock was somehow ahead of ours. Are they not targeting 3:45 on the dot? Or 5:45, I mean? Did I miss something? It seems like we'll look into that for ourselves. I don't know how their clock could be ahead of ours, considering yeah. We'll look into it and we'll see if we can figure that out. And we'll pull up their feed here in a second again. So let's see here. Again, thank you again so much for everyone for just tuning in, and hopefully you're here to watch rockets. Hopefully you're here to see an exciting milestone of hopefully seeing the Starlinks being deployed, dummy Starlinks being deployed from Starship on a suborbital trajectory for now, again, still. But if this test goes well, this really does bode well for the next one being its first true orbital mission and potentially its first true Starship catch, the upper stage catch, which would be amazing. That would be an incredible milestone to see. So if it's not this one, if it's not the next one, I really hope it's the one after that. So fingers crossed, everybody. That's what we're here for. And thanks to all of you who did point out that the clock is, we are aware that our clock's a little funny, and it's mostly been fixed, but now we're confused why it's not quite in line with SpaceX. So we'll work on figuring that out. Wanting to know if there's any plans for Starship and Super and Falcon Heavy diecast models. Want to increase my collection? Yes, someday. Once Starship's done iterating every tiny bit, it takes us about 1 year to 2 years to really go through the manufacturing process of these. When we do castings like this and the whole process just takes a long time. I'd love to be able to speed that up. But once Starship's done iterating, we'll definitely do Starship. We could probably do a Falcon Heavy fairly easy, since we already have half the, the molds would be, you could repeat a lot of them. That'd be really cool. We'll look into it someday. But we have a lot of things that we want to get onto. I would love to get more than just SpaceX things. I'd really like to get, I really want to get, so after right now, our next ones that are coming out are the Mercury program. So Mercury Atlas and Mercury Redstone, it's a 2-pack at the same 1/100 scale. That's what's so fun, is you get to see these historic rockets compared to, modern rockets. But the next one I want to do after that is definitely going to be, I think I'd like to see Soyuz at that same scale. See all the human spaceflight vehicles. Maybe Gemini could be like Gemini and Soyuz would be similar scale. Would be fun to see those together, or one and then the other. But those might be the next two we pursue. I'd like to see the shuttle. I'd like to see Buran, so that you could finally have a good Buran model. It'd be awesome. But yeah. Before we go, SpaceX is coming back in a second. Before we go back to SpaceX real quick, let's remind you too, by the way, I am doing a launch day coupon code. Launch day, all one word, all lowercase coupon for 15% off of our 1969 collection in honor of the fact that I finally got the Apollo video done. So if you guys want to support the work we do here at Everyday Astronaut, head on over to everydayastronaut.com/shop. Check out the 1969 collection. And we'll see you guys in there, and hopefully you pick up something cool like this. We've got this amazing, this is our A7L hoodie that is so cool. Has lots of details, like it actually has the same checklist that they actually had on the moon on the sleeve here, which I think is so cool. So lots of details. I love that kind of stuff. It all matches what it was in real life. So everydayastronaut.com/shop. The whole 1969 collection is 15% off by going to by using coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, all lowercase. Hopefully show your support by going there. All right, let's get back to listening to SpaceX here and see what we have to hear.
Engines to recreate different conditions seen within the propulsion system during flight. And we tested some hardware changes on fuel feed lines to the Raptor vacuum engines.
This gave us just the extra data that we needed to eventually implement new hardware that's installed in those fuel feed lines for the RVAC, the Raptor vacuum engines. Also tweaked a couple of other things, like the temperature of the propellant as we're feeding it to the engines. Also the throttle level that we set for those engines during ascent. Having the ability to do a 60-second static fire, just one of the ways we're trying to expand our test capabilities here at Starbase. You want to test like you fly as much as possible. That just helps us to iterate even faster.
Yeah, exactly. The fuel feed lines to the Raptor vacuum engines, which are unique to this upgraded version of ship, look like large straws running through the oxygen tank. Today's vehicle has one of the hardware configurations we tested in that extended static fire because it showed it was able to minimize the harmonic response and lower its amplitude or strength.
We also took another look at where those fires broke out, specifically in what we call the attic. That's an unpressurized space between just the bottom of the ship's liquid oxygen tank and the top of those engine heat shields. Fires in that space resulted in a loss of vehicle back on Flight 2 and also on Flight 7. So we took some steps to make it more resilient to leaks in the future. To do that, we added a pretty hefty purge system. It's going to use gaseous nitrogen. It's pretty similar to the CO2, the carbon dioxide system we use on booster. It essentially just floods the zone with an inert gas to prevent a fire from ever starting. And then in addition to this, we increased the attic's natural fire defense just by adding some additional vent holes. That helps to keep the attic pressure as close to just vacuum as humanly possible as Starship flies into space.
And for the next generation of ship, we're running the algorithm. We're going to try and do the next best possible thing and delete some of the unnecessary space. So that ship will be using Raptor 3 engines, which will let us reduce the attic volume and eliminate the majority of joints that can leak into the space. In the end, what you're seeing take place with these changes is the core of our test program. We fly hardware all together in a real-world environment. We learn from the data, we make upgrades, and then we fly again. Ultimately, we fly to learn, and we're learning a lot.
That's right. Now, for today's flight test, we're going to be attempting to do everything we didn't get to do on Flight 7. We're still looking to get our first re-entry with this upgraded version of ship. Also intentionally trying to stress it to gather real-world data on just where the vehicle's boundaries are. So don't be surprised if it's not a smooth flight down to a landing for ship today. As always, it's going to start with liftoff. The 33 Raptor engines on super heavy igniting, lifting both it and Starship into its ascent, and it's going to power us all the way until hot staging.
Yeah, those engines on the ship will ignite while the ship is still attached to the booster. This will create that stage separation that we see there. Second stage will continue to go on its way. The booster will make a flip and come back here to the launch tower just behind Dan and I for hopefully what we will see the third ever booster catch.
Meanwhile, ship continues its ascent, gets into its suborbital place in space. We're going to have a test satellite deploy, pew pew, Starlink's firing out. And then we're also going to do a Raptor relight, relighting one of those sea-level engines before we get to ship re-entry.
Troubleshoot by the state machine.
And the ship will continue through, make its entry phase that lasts for a few minutes.
And if some comms did just go out, we heard that an operator hold got in, so they are troubleshooting one issue. As we continue to move through prop load, we'll get some more details on what caused the hold, and if we start to reset to a new T0. We are still loading prop on the vehicle, so essentially putting that hold in means that if we get through everything and we hit that T-minus 40 second mark, we'll hold there and wait to clear the issue if we haven't cleared it at some point in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, for those that are unfamiliar, that T-minus 40-second period is an opportunity to troubleshoot, unlike our Falcon timeline. So we do have a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
Continuing on with today's plan, that ship will be making a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean, as we have seen before. We are launching at 5:45 p.m. Today. This evening launch will allow us to have daytime views of the ship as it makes its splashdown. So,
yeah,
good news.
It's a lot on ship's plate, but we're still hyper-focused on finding all of those real-world limits of Starship. We want to be able to prepare to return ship to launch site and catch it. A lot of these recent upgrades are just made to enable that to actually happen.
Flight 7 premiered a huge block of upgrades to the upper stage to add more capability to Starship. And with Flight 8 today, we're hoping to get through a full flight. Starting us off, the forward flaps got a redesign. They shrunk in size and shifted toward the top of the vehicle and away from the heat shield. And that will significantly reduce their exposure to re-entry heating. Also, by making Starship 2 meters taller, we added about 25% more propellant volume, along with propulsion upgrades such as vacuum jacketing of the feed lines, new fuel feed line system for Raptor vacuum engines, and an improved propulsion avionics module.
Yeah, ship got a little bit taller. That extra prop's going to allow us to fly those longer missions. We're not planning on stretching it a whole lot more beyond this in future ones, but then, you know, once we're flying the next version a lot, it'll be going. Just like the previous flight, a lot of tiles have been purposely removed. As again, we're trying to stress test all of the vulnerable areas, call this the missing tile test. Those tiles are removed in strategic locations all across the vehicle, including critical areas like those tanks and over the flap seals, as we use this flight to just really push those boundaries. In addition to that, we have some metallic tiles again that are being tested, including one on the right of this animation that has some active cooling built in.
The vehicle's avionics also underwent a complete redesign with things like 4 upgraded Starlink terminals, combining Starlink, global navigation, and RF communications. You can see that location there on your screen. And on the sides of the vehicle, non-structural versions of the ship's catch fittings are installed to test the thermal performance, along with a smoothed and tapered edge on one section of the tile line to address hotspots that we observed during Flight 6.
And once more, we're back at testing some radar sensors on those tower catch arms. We did that last flight. We're doing it again as we look for some additional ways to measure the distance between the arms and the vehicle. Catching the ship's going to be pretty different from catching the booster. It does that flip right before, so your antennas are going to rapidly reorient. And so just having any extra sensors on the ground side, you're adding extra layers of control while the ship and tower talk to each other for a catch.
In another first, Starship will deploy 4 Starlink simulators. They are similar in size to our next generation Starlink satellites. With unparalleled payload capacity and full reusability, Starship will be able to deploy our more advanced V3 Starlink satellites, which will revolutionize global connectivity with Starlink all over again.
Each one of those Starlink V3 launches on a Starship is going to add about 60 terabits of capacity to the Starlink network. To give you some context, that's about 20 times the capacity of what we're adding with every V2 mini launch on a Falcon 9 right now. That's going to help us expand Starlink's network, expand its impact in the coming years as we expand that access to high-speed internet all around the world and eventually beyond. And the Starlink simulators that we're deploying today, they're going to be on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship. We expect them to demise as they enter in the atmosphere. And then Starship's trajectory itself looks very similar to our last several flights, splashdowns targeted in the Indian Ocean. And on top of all of that, we're also going to relight a single Raptor engine again while in space. We're just trying to get data on in-space Raptor burns. You're going to need those for deorbit burns when we're doing orbital missions, and eventually when we're doing missions way beyond Earth and we're on our way to Mars.
Yeah, so just like you said earlier, Dan, there's a lot on Starship's plate for today. But one of the hallmarks of these Starship flights are the incredible views that we get throughout the flight, courtesy of Starlink. Every day, we're working to expand the Starlink network, both on Earth and in space. For how all this connects us to the big mission, let's head back to Chris.
Thanks, Kate. And as fans of Starship may know that Starlink enables us to bring you a lot of those unprecedented views, both from space and on Earth. Personally, I love all those epic views of the plasma wrapping around Starship during re-entry. So thank you to our Starlink teams who enable all of those amazing views and the information we get. Now, in addition to the dozens of cameras on Starship itself, as you see on your screen here, we also have mobile Starlink camera kits deployed in the middle of the Indian Ocean, as you're seeing from a previous flight. Starlink also allows us to connect our aerial cinematography units on the ground at Starbase and at other strategic camera spots around Texas and the world. And that's all part of how it comes together to help us tell the incredible story of Starship, both on and off the planet. So cool. Thanks to Starlink, Starship is now capable of streaming more than 120 megabits per second of real-time, high-definition video and telemetry through every phase of flight. This not only provides those incredible views of re-entry for all of us, but also the invaluable engineering data to help our engineers rapidly iterate across all systems of Starship. And all of that streaming data today will be put to good use with the more than 30 cameras that are on the vehicle for today's flight. Now, Starlink is the world's largest satellite constellation operating in low Earth orbit to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet. This provides internet access to people around the world, many of whom have never had connectivity before. As of today, Starlink is serving more than 125 countries, territories, and other markets, and has more than 5 million active customers and counting. But to meet the growing global demand for high-speed internet, SpaceX recently expanded its factory at Bastrop, Texas, and introduced Starlink Mini as well as an upgraded version of the Starlink standard kit. Here's our first ever look inside our brand new Bastrop facility.
Ooh, let's see this.
There's like an interesting stat where like the odds of being struck by lightning in your lifetime are like about 1 in 15,000. And we make 15,000 dishes a day. If the odds of a defect happening are the same odds as being struck by lightning in your lifetime, it's almost guaranteed to happen one time in this factory a day. So you have to have like a very intense focus on quality.
Right now, we're in Bastrop, Texas at the Starlink manufacturing site, just about 20 miles east of downtown Austin. So the main function of this site is to produce our standard Starlink kits. Right now, we're producing 15,000 a day straight out of the factory.
This is really cool. I'm a little nervous about getting a music copyright straight, so let's answer a few questions here quick. This is a cool video. I'm sure we'll watch. I'm more excited about seeing the visuals here. This is, wait, I had ones here from that I wanted to make sure to catch from Dima Krab saying, shout out to David Pavlenko, just a chill dude out there watching how history is being made with us. Very cool, Dima. Thank you so much for the very generous chat. Very, very generous. You can keep the other screen up on the side just so we can still see the Starlink stuff. I am curious since we've never seen the inside of this factory. That is very cool. Delta, yeah, they did basically mention there's a pretty major fuel leak in the fuel feed system for the vacuum Raptor engines. They're basically repeating exactly the flight and everything that they were planning last time with just a fewer amount of Starlink dummy satellites. The heat shield has a few tests. There's not really a major upgrade. There's just a few heat shields that are different. I did want to point out right now that when we heard that hold, I don't know if that was intentional if we were supposed to hear that or not, but the hold, normally in rocket terms, if you hear 3 holds on nets like that, if you hear 3 holds, that typically means they're scoped for the day. Now, it might be different with Starship with a launch window like this, but hold normally is bad. Maybe it's not as bad as we think, though. And we do, I mean, they still have a countdown going. They have plenty of time now to refigure the countdown. So let's listen in here and see if we can learn any more about that.
good things to come from our Bastrop facility. And while we're talking about the infrastructure that enables us to do all of these amazing things, you've probably seen some changes recently around Starbase. Coming online this year is the second tower at Starbase, and this tower has redesigned chopsticks and is built to accommodate the next generation of Starship and Super Heavy. It will have a redesigned launch mount and flame diverter system built to be rapidly reusable and hardy enough to withstand hundreds of launches at a time. Now, over at the production site down the road, we're also building a new integration and refurbishment facility called Gigabay. And Gigabay, as the name implies, will allow us to process more Starships at the same time over our current megabays. But Gigabay isn't just for Texas. If that weren't exciting enough, we're also further expanding Starship operations into Florida, bringing production and launch capabilities to the Space Coast. As Starship flight testing, development, and launch cadence continues to pick up pace at Starbase in Texas, over in Florida, we're building a Gigabay as well. Gigabay will stand 380 feet tall and will provide about 46.5 million cubic feet of interior processing space and about 815,000 square feet of workspace. Now, as environmental impact statements continue for potential Starship launches and flights from both Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center and Launch Complex 37 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, we plan to complete the Starship launch pad at Pad 39A this year. And pending the completion of environmental reviews, SpaceX intends to conduct the first Starship launch from Florida from Launch Pad 39A later this year. Now, we're also interested in enabling Starship launches from Slick 37. And as part of this process, SpaceX has been given a limited right of entry for Pad 37 to conduct further due diligence at the site in order to move forward with the environmental impact study that's being led by the Department of the Air Force. Ultimately, we will have production, integration, refurbishment, and launch facilities in both Florida and Texas, driving the needed flight rate for Starship to help make humanity a multiplanetary civilization. And Kate, I could talk about this stuff for literally hours on end, but we've got a Starship to launch today. So how are things looking 11 minutes before launch here?
Yeah, it's pretty cool that we're getting close to go time. Quick update on range and weather. For the range, the area around the pad has been well cleared. This includes the land, air, and sea space. So all is clear on the range front. That also applies to over in the Indian Ocean. The sea and airspace has been cleared as well for ships re-entry. Once again, we are making a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean. So just the buoy cams are out there, and we'll get some great videos once again. Weather, we have a 35% chance of violating the weather launch, the weather constraints for launch today. So it's not perfect, but it's not bad. Visibility also not so awesome. We can see the tower here. We're 2 miles away from the launch pad, but visibility around the greater area might be a little challenging.
Yeah. In terms of the vehicle itself, so right now you can see we're almost done loading prop on ship, almost done on booster. If you tuned in and heard earlier, we did hear talk about a flight controller hold going in. So just a reminder, all that means is we wouldn't be able to pass that T-minus 40-second mark. They're literally talking about it right now on the loops that they think they've got the problem figured out. It was an issue on the booster where we think we will be clear by about the T-minus 2-minute mark, and we will be able to move right through that T-minus 40, hopefully. So prop load continuing. We're not holding or anything yet, and we're expecting that issue to clear before we get to that T-minus 40 mark. This morning, though, we did all of the usual checkouts, aligned the navigation systems, did all of our booster and ship tank purges, got them ready for prop load, chilled down the pad, which you can see all the cryo right now. Things are pretty chilly out there. Prop load's been going. We just did a flap check out. We also do a wheel check out on the chopstick arms as well. We are going to continue loading prop for about another 6 minutes. We're going to close ship at about 3 minutes, 20 seconds before launch. Booster just about 30 seconds later. So cool. We've had at least one issue that we're still working in the background, expecting that to clear before we hit that kind of that hold gate at T-minus 40 seconds, and looking good. Yeah, so bottom line, things are looking good for liftoff here in just under 9 minutes. We're now at, looks like 8 minutes and 49 seconds. So everything's looking green so far. Yeah. Before we get any closer to liftoff, I need to shamelessly plug Starbase. I'm one of just a couple thousand people who work here. soon to be the newest city in Texas at Starbase, and we're the largest employer in the area. We're always hiring, so visit spacex.com/careers, see all the openings. It's where the future is being built, and it's a future we can all be pretty excited about. So yeah, come work here. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's launch a rocket.
All right, so we're coming up to 8 minutes until liftoff. As we mentioned before, flight controllers are already on console. They're located in our Ad Astra Launch Control Center, about 6 miles away from the pad. But they will soon be moving here with us to Star Factory. So a lot of excitement around that, certainly growing.
Yeah, and again, general status check. We're continuing to progress. We're under 8 minutes away. We're tracking an issue with booster. We're expecting that to clear. Still looking good for launch. Speaking of booster, let's talk about catching one.
Absolutely.
The tower's 2 giant robotic arms that lift and stack Starship on a Super Heavy for final integration ahead of flight. We also use those to catch. It means we don't have any landing legs in the booster. Makes the booster lighter. Means we can throw more payload into space.
Exactly. Following liftoff and after the 2 stages separate in flight, Super Heavy will return to the launch site, the same exact launch site that it lifted off from, reignite its engines to slow the vehicle down. Here we see playback from a previous booster catch. I believe that was our first booster catch. The vehicle will slow down, tower arms will come out and catch the booster.
And just like the last few times, literally thousands of different vehicle pad criteria have to be met before we bring a booster back and try to catch it. We need healthy systems on Super Heavy, on the launch tower, and we need that final manual command from the mission's flight director for the day. If that command isn't sent before we finish the boost back burn, or if any of those automated health checks kick us out, the booster defaults to a trajectory, takes it to a landing burn and a soft splashdown in the Gulf.
Yeah, we have said it multiple times before, but it still holds true today. We accept no compromises when it comes to ensuring the safety of the public and our team, and the return will only take place if the conditions are right, and there are many of them. So there's a chance that we may not get to catch the booster today.
Yeah, and one aspect to the return and the catch of that booster is the audible sonic boom in the area around the return location. That happens as the booster's slowing down from supersonic speeds. It's similar to sonic booms that were heard during the return and landing of NASA's space shuttle for anyone that was in Florida for those.
Sonic booms like these are unique to vehicles returning from space and are one of the hallmarks of reusable systems like our Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy vehicles. The general impact to those in the surrounding area of a sonic boom is basically a brief thunder-like noise. And I've heard sonic booms before, but I got to experience my first in-person Starship sonic boom on Flight 7, and I can confirm it's pretty fun to experience.
I was going to show her reaction because that'd be fun. Dang it, I thought they were going to show her reaction. That would be really cool.
And as someone who has heard sonic booms many times in Florida, they are definitely a hallmark, and what a way to announce a returning space vehicle's return for reuse. Now, here in California, as you can imagine, the excitement is growing here. The crowd is growing. Kate mentioned our flight controllers in Ad Astra in Texas. Here in Hawthorne, we also have controllers on console in Mission Control, helping those teams in Texas monitor Starship's various systems, including the avionics and those 39 Raptor engines that were built right here in Hawthorne. Now, with 4 minutes, 30 seconds to go, Dan and Kate, how are we looking for a launch today?
So we are still looking good. We're just about fully topped out on propellant on both vehicles. The closeout's going to be coming up in about a minute on ship, and then about 30 seconds later on the booster.
Let's go, guys.
We are still hearing chatter in the background about the booster issue that we're tracking. We may still be able to pass the hold, but if we need to hold at T-minus 40 seconds, we have several minutes that we can hang out there and work to just kind of troubleshoot those final issues before we get the go. Once we're fully loaded on prop, which is coming up soon, we've got just shy of 11 million pounds of liquid oxygen, liquid methane on both of those stages. And then once we're done, we're going to see that we're going to hear the ground lines do what's called pushback. So all of that propellant gets pushed out of those lines back to the tanks, clearing the pad for launch.
Now, in the next few minutes,
Let's
the
go.
guidance system will perform a final alignment. The automated flight safety system will be armed, and thrust vector control, or TVC, checkouts will be performed. As we said, if we do need to hold, it would come at that T-minus 40-second mark. That is the point in the countdown where we can pause to wait for final checkouts or pressurization, or if we need to continue to work through that issue. So once we pass through that T-minus 40-second mark, a number of things are going to happen quite quickly. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure. The ship's going to go on to internal power. And after that, the quick disconnect, or QD, arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we do pass that T-minus 40 seconds, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to that T-minus 40 seconds and hold there to assess what happened, and if we can proceed again to T0. But that's only in certain situations.
All right, so we're just about 2.5 minutes away. We do have a couple of things, like if we hit T-minus 10 seconds and you see water start flowing out of the deflector, that is a reason for us to scrub for the day, is that's once it's turned on, it doesn't turn off. And then we'll have to refill the tanks on both the water farm and the prop farm. Our team's gotten really, really good at refilling stuff really quick, so we can reposition for about a 24-hour recycle if we need to.
Yeah. But speaking of
we're
things,
coming up. We're coming up just under 2 minutes away. Now hearing we might hold at that T-minus 40-second mark while they still talk through a couple of troubleshooting steps. But again, if we hold there, we can hold there for several minutes, even with all prop fully loaded on the vehicle, before we can release the hold and decide to move forward.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. So we're coming up on that T-minus 40. That's going to be a telling point. I'm guessing they will go into a hold there. Considering they're talking about it, that obviously means they haven't cleared the hold yet, and they're just kind of preparing.
Less than a minute and a half away. Again, keep your eye on the clock. Look for T-minus 40. We may hold there. It's not a rocket launch unless you're talking nonstop in the background until right before you lift off.
Once again, if we hold at T-minus 40 seconds, we have an opportunity to hold there for several minutes. This is unique to Starship. We don't have this ability on Falcon.
As we're about 15 seconds away, we did just here. We are going to hold at T-minus 40. So look for the clock to pause when we hit T-minus 40 as they finish troubleshooting.
Okay.
And then we'll let you know as soon as we start hearing more, and if that when that clock's gonna start rolling. So holding at T-minus 40. So the team's talking in the background, still troubleshooting, and we can hang out here for a couple of minutes. All right, and it sounds like we cleared the issue on the booster. We're now holding for a late breaking issue with ship. So they're talking through that right now.
They cleared
Dan,
that
you
already.
mentioned
Okay.
things that we've gotten really good at. It's incredible to think that we just stacked this vehicle earlier this morning, and we're already, through prop load. Prop load's pretty much complete and ready to go. It's a very slimmed down timeline.
Yeah, this by far will be our fastest. We stacked the thing for the first time ever with these vehicles less than 24 hours ago. We really want to get to a point where we can, fly rapidly, fly as quickly as possible. And so this is definitely a case to try and push that forward. No wet dress or anything like that with these vehicles.
Absolutely. And should this booster come back for a successful landing, you were talking about the rapid part of rapid reusability. This booster may fly on a future Starship flight if we're able to catch it and bring it back online. So for those of you that have just recently joined us, we have paused at T-minus 40 seconds just to assess and work through a problem that popped up in the countdown, and we are holding here as the teams troubleshoot it. We believe that we have put in a solution and we will be able to proceed. But we have some chatter on some nets indicating that we're just holding here for a few more seconds.
Okay.
This is a great opportunity for the teams. This is unique on Starship. We don't have this ability on Falcon to hold here, partially because there's just so much propellant that it takes longer as a whole for it to cool down with that amount of volume that we have compared to the Falcon vehicle. But this T-minus 40-second hold is pretty cool because basically everything that would have been a scrub is actually just an opportunity to hold here and work through it. Or I should say many things, not everything. Like I said, we're working through an issue now, but we can also pause here for final checkouts or completion of pressurization to get up to flight levels, that kind of thing. So it's a nice feature to allow the team to wait for final checkouts or assess final prop levels or engine health and that kind of stuff.
Okay. So hopefully we see that clock start to move. So I'm paying attention to the SpaceX clock, which is in that left window. Our clock is based on what we see from them or hear from them. So I'm not updating that for now. We're just going to let it hold. We have, a little note there saying holding for additional checks. So we'll see if that clock starts moving, then that will be our time to really start paying attention. It'd be cool if this thing flew tonight and just flew right away, because they do have until 6:30 local time, or 18:30 24-hour time, which would be, let me think, oh God. So that's, that'd be like, I think just 30 UTC on Tuesday is their launch window. So yes. So even if they don't clear this hold now, they don't have a lot of time to troubleshoot. They only have about 40 minutes left over to be able to try and launch this thing today. The next opportunity would likely be tomorrow. But Dan did say something interesting that I hadn't really, I think I knew this, but I hadn't really thought about it until now, is that if they trigger the launch deluge system, that big water bidet, the big thing that goes underneath the flame trench to keep the launch pad from blowing up, like what we saw in the first flight, the water deluge, once that's activated, it doesn't stop and it drains to completion. And so they can't actually relight again or have another launch opportunity in the same day, because they need to replenish all of that water. So,
all right, if you're just tuning in, we are still holding at this T-minus 40-second gate. We cleared an issue on the booster that we were working up until the hold, still working one on ship, and team still continuing to discuss in the background. We can still hold here for several more minutes. If we're not able to resolve the issue or find a workaround, then we would have to essentially scrub and stand down for the day. If that does happen, we can go as early as tomorrow, but that clearly depends on what work we might need to do to fix any issues. So just obviously stay tuned. But right now, we're a little over 5 minutes into this hold today. We've got a couple more minutes that we can hold at T-minus 40 before we have to kick out. Essentially, looking at a lot of those propellant temperatures on both vehicles, you want those to stay in pretty specific ranges for engine startup and things like that. That's what generally drives how long we can hold at T-minus 40. So still hanging out. As soon as we hear an update on the ship, we will let you know.
Cool. Okay, so we're just gonna be paying attention to that clock. Chat, let me know if it moves. I'm going to try reading some of your comments still. We have a lot, and sorry that I'm super far behind. Clark, thank you for all your hard work over the years. You are a major reason I find myself as part of the Space Force today. Wouldn't have been able to do it without your inspiration. That is so cool to hear, Clark. That is awesome. We're going to be doing some work with Space Force.
Starting to sound like we might have a decision real soon.
Starting to think about having maybe a potential decision is what I just heard, basically. Starting to think, oh, clock's moving.
All right,
clock
you see the
is
clock
moving.
rolling. It is time to go for launch. So, 30 seconds.
Okay. I don't actually have a clock to watch, so I'm just looking here. I don't have time to fix our clock. It is off right now, so let's just wait until you see water deluge system here going. It should be any second. Once we have water deluge, that's a good sign of things to come. So here we go, guys. It should be any second. Looks like they reset. Can we show the SpaceX stream again so we can get a sense of the clock? Okay, so they have just crap. False alarm. False alarm.
We are now going to hang out here again at T-minus 40. They've got a couple more troubleshooting steps that they can take. If we're able to get through that, we can start counting down again. If not, we could always offload and try again on either tomorrow or another day. But right now, we're not done for the day yet. Still holding at T-minus 40 seconds. And as soon as we hear some more or start seeing that clock move, you will know if we're going to go for our launch attempt today or if we just try it again another day. So keep listening in, and we'll have an update shortly.
Okay, well, that was just a tease. They're just trying to make sure you all are paying attention. That's what that was about. It had nothing to do with the rocket. It's purely, as you know, aerospace engineers really love to make sure that, you know, people are paying attention, right? Yeah, that's not at all how this goes. Obviously, they're working potential issues, seeing if they're good to go for today's launch. That's all there is to it. The words on the screen for them just disappeared. The clock is still at T40.
All right, and we did just hear the call. We are going to offload for today. So we had a couple of holds trip as we started counting down from T-minus 40 again. And it's not something we can change with small config tweaks. So we are going to offload our prop and then try again another day. So we're able to fully tank the vehicle. We're unable to lift off today, but just because we don't go today doesn't mean we're not going to go tomorrow or one of the days coming up. So we are going to start offloading all of that propellant on the booster and the ship. As we talked a little bit earlier, we can go as soon as 24 hours later. We won't know that for sure until we dig into everything that kicked us out of our attempt today. So obviously just keep an eye on all of our updates. So we are expecting could be about 24 hours, but we will definitely let people know.
Yeah. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Unfortunately, we would have liked to lift off today, but the teams are doing the right thing and standing down while we troubleshoot, and we'll share more information as it becomes available, including when our next launch opportunity is. So be sure to keep an eye on our SpaceX account on X, and as I said, we'll share more information as it becomes available.
All right. Thanks all for joining us today. We'll see you at the next attempt.
Well, guys, I'll stick around for just a few minutes here, answer a few more questions that I missed. We have a lot, actually. But this kind of works out well for me because, again, like I said, it is my birthday. One of the things that I am doing for my birthday is going to a concert tonight. So that's why I'm not down actually at Starbase. I'm in Austin. And unfortunately, I also had to – this is going to be really tricky now for me because I'm likely on a plane on Wednesday. But it all depends on this, I guess. I don't know. I had to be home for sure on by Thursday night back in Iowa. So we will see how this turns out for me. Worst case scenario, oh man, I almost wish it just like scrubbed a week or something at this point because I hate having to try to plan around this stuff. And it's pretty hard to get home with flight schedules and stuff. So we will see, I guess. Oh, man. Let's answer a few of your questions. Thank you guys so much for watching, though. And even though we didn't get to see a launch today, having you guys all here is very it does mean a lot to me. And I know, like I said, we've been dealing with, tumultuous times, we'll say. But I love that hopefully you guys all do feel some sense of unity and togetherness and a little bit of inspiration because it still is really important work. No matter what you think, it's really, really cool stuff. And I'm still really excited about it. So Frank Glavas, thank you so much. From Usora, you're welcome. Starbase, no, that does not say Starbase. Wow. Slarty Barty Fest. Slarty Barty Fast. I appreciate the donation. While black heat tiles are good for reentry, would the color create heat insulation issues during long-term missions? Good question, actually. That is actually something I haven't. Well, you can always counter that by doing barrel rolls and things like that to cook it. the barbecue roll, they used to call that with the Apollo program. But you're right, that would definitely absorb more heat, radiated heat from the sun if it's black. That is a good question for long-term duration. That's why I still think, like, for Mars and stuff like that, it'd almost be better to have, well, not Mars, you can't, because you have to have a reentry, a heat shield. But for the moon and stuff, it would make a lot of sense to have a heat shieldless vehicle, transfer vehicle, and a heat shieldless lander, obviously. So we will see. This is from Kay Vinignac. Kamath, would I ever cover the Indian space program? Definitely. And I actually want to make a video about that for sure. That's been on my list to do for a long time. Sean Stark, thank you so much for your membership. This is from Aaron Barr. Any thoughts? Thank you so much for your compliments. But oopsies, 8 months. Wait, where did that go? No, this one. Aaron Barr. Hey, Tim, love the channel and love the Moon Conspiracy video. Thoughts on the recent booster toppling over? Pretty sad. It's crazy that, like, these days it's a news item when a booster topples over. Pretty bummed about that. So especially it hadn't flown much. I think that was its 5th flight. So that is definitely a bit of a bummer. Those are my thoughts. It's that it's a bummer, and I hope they learn from it, and I hope they make that vehicle even more and more reliable. Let's see here. Paul, love the channel. My parents are on a cruise in the Caribbean. What, if anything, should they be able to see? Looks like a regular satellite. Well, if it goes well, hopefully on the next attempt, hopefully they would potentially be able to see the exhaust plume during the second stage burn, potentially. That might not happen. Depending on where they're at, they might maybe just be able to catch a very shiny, bright object moving quickly through the sky. But no way of knowing without knowing exactly where they're at and when the thing will launch. Patrick Vallow, hey, Tim, I heard there's a serious discussion about the current administration potentially canceling the Artemis program altogether and shifting focus directly to Mars. Yeah, that would be a very big shift. I still would love to see us land on the moon again for the first time in 55 years or whatever it is now, 56 years. I would like to see humans walk on the moon in 4K. So I hope they don't totally shift priorities. I don't quite see the benefit of moving to Mars right away. I would like to test out build up the economy and build up the know-how of how to have humans on the moon for long periods of time. I know they're different, very clearly very different, but the idea that if you can live on the moon, you can live on Mars kind of ish. There's a lot of lessons that can be learned on the moon, and it reduces risk of, being 6 months to a year and a half away from coming home as opposed to just 3 days. It's definitely makes some things a lot easier. Let's see. I don't know anything about that, so I don't even think I should comment. Arcade Adam, save the politics for the news Mars government, pointing it up, flaming it down. That should just be the policy of a Mars government. It's just pointing it up, flaming it down, period. Would I ever consider working at a place like Collins? I don't know. It'd have to be I don't know what kind of position I would really like to work in. I think it would have to be something with communication and something with helping connect things together. I really do like when you get to see a big picture or something, when you get to talk to someone and learn what they're doing, to learn what this guy's doing and this person's doing over here. And then you kind of start going, hey, you're doing something similar to them. Why aren't you guys, are you working on this? Because I like that kind of stuff. I like crossover thinking a lot. And I think I'd be pretty good at that. This is, what about Colin's Tiki Bar? I could work at Colin's Tiki Bar. That might be what I do next, is just work at a Tiki Bar. He's actually opening a Tiki Bar? Okay, well, I will be maybe his first patron. I don't know if I would consider totally shifting careers to be a Tiki Bar manager. Dwayne Hansen, can you talk about the time you almost suffocated yourself in an astronaut suit? Well, I have a whole video on that called That Time I Almost Died in a Spacesuit. Watch that if you want to learn about how I almost suffocated in my spacesuit when I first got it. Yeah, it's a ridiculous story, and it's too long to tell here. Flight level 180. I'm an old B-52 air crew, and I've been following you since the astronaut Segway photo. Wow, tell the spacesuit almost killing you story. Another one asking for the spacesuit almost. Man, we have 2 people. Okay, I'll do if 2 of you are asking, I'll do an abbreviated version of it. Basically, I put the helmet on for the first time, and it has this neck ring, right? And the neck ring is rubber sealed, so it's airtight. And when the helmet goes on, there's a latching system in the back that locks it in place, and it's a one-way lock. You have this little latching mechanism to unlock it, which is you have to kind of pull the string and then torque it in a weird way to be able to unlatch it. And same with the helmet. The helmet visor comes down, and then it has this, again, one-way locking system, so it can't accidentally come undone, and you have to know how to unlock it in order to open it. So I put the helmet on for the first time. I was by myself in my living room, and closed the whole thing up, and all of a sudden immediately realized, oh my God, I can't breathe. There's no, like, I can feel it. Like every breath in would like suck against my neck, and I could feel it. And I'm like, oh God. Luckily, I didn't panic. That was kind of the instinct, is like, oh God, start, gasping for air. There was a hose like attached to it, a green hose. And I realized at the end of the hose, at least you could undo a plug. There's a simple plug on the hose. So by undoing that, at least it did bring air back into my breathing hole, which then allowed me to stay alive. And then I went over to the mirror and tried to figure out how to use the unlocking system. So it wasn't like, there was just a brief moment of panic followed by like, I realized now, like looking back, I could have probably pretty easily pulled on the rubber, and gotten it to be loose enough to be able to get air back, even with the helmet, latched on it and locked. But it was still crazy. And I'm really glad that it didn't kill me. Hey, thank you so much, Jeff. Actually, it's no longer a van. Let's show the inside of our production vehicle now. It's now a trailer. It's a lot bigger than the van. Everyone say hi to our production crew. That's only about 2/3 of our production crew today, because we also have, more than that, because we have all the mods and all the people helping out. And but in that shot, you were seeing, the two trackers. You were seeing our technical director and producer and our graphics and here, let's go back. Let's everyone say hi. Let's do a little tour. You have John Pisani on the right, front right, one of our trackers. You got Steve-O to the left there, another tracker. Then you have Andrew Taylor running the actual show. He's the one also talking to me in comms and technical producing and directing. Then you have Spencer Teddick he's doing the replays and graphics, on-screen graphics stuff. And all those kind of things as well. Then Andrew Keating is kind of behind this camera to the left, and hopefully he'll say hi. There's Andrew Keating, our sound engineer, who also does all the sound stuff down at the pad and all that stuff too. And same with like Pisani helps set up the remote cameras, and Steve-O and stuff too. So Ryan Shalinsky is out there physically running the large tracking camera that we have in the South. So that's kind of our immediate team running today's live stream. Plus, again, all the mods and Mary Liz, who's helping behind the scenes with the clock and helping to troubleshoot that. Same with Jeffrey, who's also helping so much with the overlay, building the overlay completely, and all the back end for it is amazing. So huge team of people making this stuff possible. And Steinman, who's always helping with all the networking stuff as well, and hosting some of the data stuff that gets transferred through Iowa. So yeah, it's a full crew here. And like I said, today I happen to not be down there, but it is really fun seeing the full production trailer being utilized and being full. And it's cool that now we can actually take the whole show properly on the road if we need to. Again, I kind of designed it so that someday when humans do take off and go to the moon or Mars, if it's not from Starbase, we can take that thing anywhere, and it's really cool. We will do a video on all of that, on how we run a show, what the production gear looks like, because it is very different now. So very, very different. This is from Jen saying, please say hello to your wonderful husband, Andrew, and also big fans of Jebediah and Kermit as well. Thank you so much to Jen and also to Andrew. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching together as a family. Pleb Dominus Rex, without SLS, how does NASA expect to send astronauts to the moon? Integrating Orion onto commercial launchers or turning Starlink or Dragon into lunar variants seem like too much effort. So I think the easiest solution seems to be you dock with the HLS Starship in low Earth orbit. So you just use a Dragon capsule to just get up to Leo. And then you ride the vehicle that already needs to go from Earth to the moon, which is the human landing system, the Starship. You just dock with them in low Earth orbit. Then what you have to do is you still have to redock again in low Earth orbit and then re-enter with a Dragon capsule, something that's already a proven re-entry system. But I think by that point, I don't know. I think that would likely be the solution, or the easiest solution, but we will see. Let's see here. Thank you so much. We did not have a RUD today, so I guess that is a win. We just unfortunately didn't even have a launch. Tony Steiner, thank you so much for your support. I'm gonna miss a lot here, guys. I am gonna work on getting out of here. Remerson, thank you so much, and thanks to all the people that became members. You are all amazing, and you helped make members and Patreon supporters. You guys really genuinely made that Apollo video possible, because as you know, I worked so hard on it for so long that just the other content wasn't flowing and the channel was financially not valid at all. Losing, would have been absolutely losing money if it wasn't for the long-term supporters. So you guys are the reason that was possible, and why I can make those big investments into such long-form videos, because otherwise it would never have happened. There's absolutely no way. Let's see, Ethan. Let's see. Oh, sorry. It's video of the week. Okay, thank you. This is Rebellionaire. Go Elon Musk. Go Team SpaceX. Keep up the rapid innovation. And thank you so much for your support. I agree. I love seeing the rapid innovation. I love seeing things happen quickly. Hopefully, we see this thing launch in 24 hours. Someone exchangeable. Go Gwen Shawwell. Go Starship. Go SpaceX. Go Tim Dodd. Well, thank you. Oh, let's see. Cool. Again, fun seeing a couple watching together. That really is awesome. This is awesome. Lakota, let's go, nerds. Thanks for the great coverage, Tim. Ignore the morons in chat. I am. I'm just enjoying learning and watching these launches. It's crazy that it's already getting dark out there now. Yeah, sunset's at 6:30, so it's crazy. You can end with as much cloud cover. It would have been really fun to see a launch today, but I think unfortunately it's likely going to be. I hope it's tomorrow, because tomorrow would be great for me. Wednesday would be scary. So, Smile Man will be okay. I'm gonna move on. I got to get out of here. Actually, ideally, this is my best timeline. Would be to get out of here now. If any size 3D printer opportunity to build rockets in Hawaii, I bought a gift. I've invented any size 3D printer. Would you like the opportunity to build rockets in Hawaii? I mean, that sounds pretty cool. There's already some 3D printed rocket companies, though. To name one would be Relativity. I don't think I'm the right person, though, for that, because I just am not. That's not what I actually have any training on. I like it, but that's not me. But thank you all so much again for the birthday wishes and just for hanging out here today. You guys are amazing. I'm sorry again that I'm missing so many of these. I like it when the rocket goes up. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you for making me smile and for making me happy. That's actually gonna do it for me, guys. I'm gonna get out of here and have a dinner and go to a concert for my birthday. So thank you so much for saying hi, for hanging out, and hopefully we see a launch attempt tomorrow. So that's gonna do it for me. Are we ready to roll out already, Andrew? Cool. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Bye, everybody.